Hello everybody and welcome into another edition of Roughneck Racing's Madness Money Racing Series, live here tonight at the High Banks in the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. We got a good one in store for you here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Qualifying is complete. Same format as last week. We'll break it down for you in just a moment, but we are going to have two heat races followed by a feature. So without any further ado, as drivers right now getting themselves gridded up, getting ready to roll here for heat number one, let's get right down track side and get into tonight's heat one starting grid. Taking the pole so far in qualifying, at least to line up the heats, it's going to go to Cody Nagels in the 6 machine for Nightmare Esports. Puts down a 49.905. Rolling off on his outside in the second spot here tonight, it's going to be Daniel Falkingham, his teammate, with Ken McCullough Jr. back in the third spot. Nathan Harper on the outside of row 4 here for heat number 1. Tommy Gassett back in the 5th spot with Matt Lee in 6th. Landon Velicki back in 7th. Brian Hennings for VRX Simulators and PGR eSports in 8th. Chris Melton in 9th. And Nash Brambilla rounding out the top 10. Dylan Jones, he'll start back in the 11th spot. It's going to be Chris Blanchard in 12th. Tyler Vickery starts 13th with Mark Vondell in 14th. Preston Alexander 15th. Freddie Bosnez back in 16th. And Ambrose Kniebel, the captain for Blind Squirrel Racing, rounds out the Heat 1 field here tonight. He will start in 17th. All right, taking a look at your race info again. Breakdown very, very similar to last week. We're going to have two heat races. This is heat number 1. Both heats going to be 10 laps. Cautions are on. You do have one faster pair in both of the heats as well as the feature. 50% fuel, 4 sets of tires. And that feature will be 60 laps in total distance. 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them for the feature. I don't know if these guys necessarily have any, though, here for the heats. Hopefully they won't be an issue, and we won't have to worry about them. And then, of course, looking at Daytona International Speedway, monster of a racetrack, 2.5 miles in distance, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners. Track temp here tonight going to start at 80 degrees as it's 78 outside in the sim. 69% humidity, cloudy skies, and winds at 5 miles an hour. Not going to be an issue. Well, tonight, not only a race here at Daytona for the regular payouts, but a bit of something new started up here by Roughneck Racing and their Madness Money Racing Series. A bit, I would say, interesting to say the least, and that is a championship playoff style setup, I guess is really the best way to put it. And here's how it's going to work. It starts here tonight at Daytona. I believe in total it's going to be a 7 to 9 race series. We'll get that official number for you here at the end, before the end of the race rather. Again, starts today, January 8th. It's going to go all the way to March 12th. And the winner, at least the top 3, are going to be fighting for quite a bit of money and points. And a lot of that money coming from a few different sponsors, including James Wagner's Welding, along with, I believe, North Star, one of the newer additions. And then I believe they may have gotten some from another sponsor I don't have listed here. But again, North Star Fire Protection, the newest sponsor, and of course Wagner's Welding for all that they do. And of course, owner of the series, James Wagner. So keep that in mind. And again, I'll mention more about it as we get into the feature and as things start to become more important. Right now, let's focus on who wants to win a $25 bonus by taking home heat number 1. All right, pace car lights are off. He'll make the left turn down to the pits, and for the first time here tonight, we are ready to go. Green flag in the air. We are racing at Daytona. And lap 1 now officially in the books, and it goes to the 48 of Daniel Falkingham. Currently on point here in heat number 1. He leads the way on the high side. With just behind him there, the 4 machine, Nathan Harper. Matt Lee filed into 3rd. But here comes Cody Nagels with some help from Ken McCullough Jr. on the bottom. These two really rolling. You see they got tandemed up there before they even got into the corner. And man, Falkingham all over the place down the super stretch. They were pushing about 3 cars deep. And you can do that in these next gens, but man, when I say you have got to be careful, I'm talking it is such a delicate balance of aggression versus overstepping. And if you overstep, you are going to cause a big one. It's not easy to save these cars, especially when you get out of shape in the middle of the pack here at Daytona, but so far so good. As the first 2 laps, clean and green. Cody Nagels still leads the bottom. Ken McCullough Jr. are going to set up here for another big charge. How about the 80 machine on the bottom now, trying to make something happen? That's Tommy Gossett. And again, I believe I might have pronounced that last name wrong, so I'm going to go ahead and correct myself and go with Gossett for now. So Tommy Gossett right now, sitting in that 6th spot, down a position from where he started this race at. He's got Landon Veliky in the 62 just behind them. Whoa, man. 2 cars towards the middle. That was Veliky who tried to shoot to the middle. Looked at kind of at the same time almost. You had the 23 machine of Nash Brambilla that got a little bit out of shape. Was quickly able to save it, though. A close moment, though, right there for Landon Veliky and Nash Brambilla. How about Chris Melton in the 49 machine? Right now, he's found himself up a spot from where he started this heat at. And looking for a little bit more here. He's got Brian Hennings in a similar neon green machine just in front of him. Brian Hennings has been on fire recently in these next gens, just in terms of it seems like every time you look towards the front, you can call out his name. He's looking for more of that same luck here tonight. Man, oh boy, more. Whew. Man, I had to catch my breath after that one. That was another. Now they're going to go 4 wide almost. They're going to go ahead and go back to 3. Dylan Jones. That was a really awkward setup right there. Coming out of the corner, they almost got to 4 wide. You can't really do that here at Daytona, and actually, looks like Dylan Jones going to walk away with some damage from it. See if I can get you a better view here of the 01. Look at the front right rather, of that Dark Horse Ford Mustang. It is crumpled in, so Jones, again with some damage. It's not going to affect that car too bad, but you see he did fall to the back of the pack and losing track position with only 6 laps to go. This is going to be tough to do, so here we go. 6 laps to go, and all of a sudden, Freddie Bosnez, the man who has gone all the way from the back, now going to go to the front through turns 1 and 2. Freddie Bosnez in the 60, going to take the point alongside Landon Veliky on the outside. And that is 2 of the Nightmare Esports teammates lined up 1-2 on the high side. They're going to do a really, really good job pushing. Nagels, though, going to match it the best he can. Now they get separated. That's going to allow the inside to really roll here off into turn 3. Bosnez gets clear. Nagels does as well. You saw Nagels make that quick jump up, and actually, for Cody, he's got some front-end damage as well. You wonder if that was related to some sort of contact that maybe he had with Dylan Jones. Very interesting look. But the 6 car still seems to be at really good pace as he runs on the outside. And we are now just 5 laps away here from the checkered flag in heat number 1. And still no caution to speak of just yet. You can tell the aggression, especially further back, starting to pick up just a little bit now. 3 wide, Chris Melton in the middle, trying to get around the 9 of Chris Blanchard. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Blanchard really needs some help right now on the bottom, and he's going to get it. Here comes a 59 of Mark Vondell to his aid. Nathan Harper, he'll jump down to the inside as well behind Brian Hennings. But up front, this is where you start to decide when are you going to make that one final move, the big move, if you will, to potentially win the heat. Ken McCullough Jr. right now trying to work both lanes. He went bottom and then back to top. He makes it work for now. But you got to think if this is the last lap, Bosnez and everybody else maybe not as forgiving. They might try to split that 03 machine. And again, if you're just tuning in, the winner of heat number 1 and heat number 2 going to receive $25. So you have a chance to basically make your money back. Whoa, Ken McCullough Jr. gets a shot from Nagels off into turn 1. He got up the racetrack. That was another close call between him and Freddie Bosnez, but he's going to save it. And they stay 2x2 down the super stretch. Look at the run on the outside. Now here comes Brian Hennings through the middle. The 74. Can he shoot the gap? The 23 of Brambilla is going to go with him. And for Hennings, he'll get clear up in front of Matt Lee, but he's not going to go yet. They pull a draft off of Bosnez. Now the 74 looks a lane higher. Bosnez will block. They're going to wreck out back. Matt Lee's going to go around, backs it into the outside safer barrier. No caution yet. The 04 will roll off the racetrack. We stay green for the moment. Back up front now, just 3 laps to go. 2 of the good cars out of it. And now you start to turn your attention back to that top lane. It's been rolling really well. Right now, the top 3, Veliky, Falkingham, and Bosnez. But again, here comes the bottom charging. This time, it's Ken McCullough Jr. receiving a push from Tommy Gossett. And oh, he's going to get turned into the outside wall. Ken McCullough Jr., he'll go right. Oh, man, that was an odd look. We'll go back and look at it, but he's going to go almost dead right into the outside fence. And so as he'll now lose the pack, we drop out another one. This will be coming to 2 laps to go now. And it's all about, can they keep it green to the white flag? I'm not sure if these guys officially turned cautions off or if both of these events that we've had, incidents I should say, just weren't significant enough to draw it. But either way, if we're going to get a caution, this is going to be the last lap that we could get one right here with 2 to go. As Landon Veliky still up front. Veliky, of course, one of the newer developmental broadcasters for PGR eSports, right now out front looking like a pro. And that beautiful Nightmare Esports paint scheme on his Chevy Camaro. He's got a teammate again in Daniel Falkingham behind him. But you almost wonder, kind of two mindsets here. If it's for the heat, I think Falkingham's either going to be really conservative or really aggressive here on the last lap. Does he try to sneak by his teammate coming off of turn 4? I think that will be the big question. The 48 up top, though. Daniel Falkingham now trying to cool off just a little bit here so he can set up for this last lap push. Brian Hennings in the 74. Him and Brambilla had been rolling really well. I think those two might be the first two to drop to the bottom. Further back, Chris Blanchard. He's going to be the first driver to move out of line here on the white flag. We now have 1 lap to go here in heat number 1. And still up front leading the way is Landon Veliky. Will anybody make a move? Again, you can't get eliminated from the feature in this heat. It's all about going for the $25, and you've got about half a lap to make it happen. One out back's going to go around. That's Tyler Vickery. He's going to hold on as Nagel's trying to charge up for one more run on the bottom. He's got Blanchard, but they've got no more help. Will Brian Hennings make one more look to the bottom here? Final time into turn 3. No move yet. Falkingham still out in front, pushing his teammate. And as they work off of turn 4, if you're going to do it, you got to do it now. Falkingham's going to go to the inside. Veliky looks for a block, nothing doing. Bosnes will follow him through. Daniel Falkingham's going to take heat 1 at Daytona. Catches his teammate off guard off of turn 4. Bosnes goes with him. And Daniel Falkingham, the Coke Series driver, oh my goodness, as Brian Hennings plows into him after the checkered flag. But what a win, and what a way to start the night here for Daniel Falkingham, as he beats his teammate. Freddie Bosnes actually was able to steal second as well there by going with the 48. So a nice job right there by Daniel Falkingham. And as the rest of the field here is going to cross the line, we'll see if we can get these Heat 1 results and read them out to you here before we have to go to the Heat 2 grid. And so while we wait for that, again, I do want to say, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. If you've been sticking around, we appreciate you hanging out with us. You are watching Roughneck Racing's Madness Money Racing Series live here tonight at the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway, as we set ourselves up now for heat number 2. If you missed heat 1, it was a thriller, and it went green all the way. We'll see if we can get more of the same in heat 2, but here we go. Your final results from heat number 1. Daniel Falkingham, your winner. He will start on the pole of tonight's feature. Freddie Bosnes second, and Brian Hennings rounds out the podium. Landon Veliky back to 4th. Tommy Gossett in 5th. With Nash Brambilla 6th. Dylan Jones back in 7th. You've got Cody Nagels 8th, Chris Blanchard 9th, and Chris Melton rounding out the top 10. Tyler Vickery finishes in 11th, Nathan Harper 12th, Preston Alexander in 13th with Ken McCullough Jr. back in 14th. Then it's Ambrose Kniebel in 15th with Mark Von Dell in 16th. And it looks like Matt Lee is going to round out heat number 1 as he finishes in 17th. All right, that'll just about now set us up to go and move on to the starting grid here for heat number 2 as we start to work down trackside. Looks like the field is getting things lined up, so we'll go down trackside here officially in just a moment. As we do so, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off here tonight with the starting grid here for heat 2. And I was looking at the lap time here, just how close it was between Cody Nagels and Garrett Maines for who was going to start on the pole in that heat. And Garrett runs a really close lap time to what Cody put down. Again, your pole sitter in heat 1. So he'll take the pole here in heat 2 with a 49.907. Jason Maines, his dad, will roll off to his outside in 2nd. Then it's Matthew Baker for NBG Motorsports back in the 3rd spot for heat number 2. David Sheets from McCullough Motorsports to his outside in 4th. Chase Mastretta for Nightmare Esports on the inside of row 3. Kyler Wynn, the Canadian driver, to his outside in 6th. It'll be John Ward, the captain for Hyper Motorsports, back in 7th. Joshua McCullough 8th with Dalton Steele in 9th. And James Wagner rounding out your top 10. Sean Corbett back in 11th. It's going to be Hunter Hastings starting in the 12th spot here in heat 2. Larry McDonald back in 13th with Tyler Morgan in 14th. Steve Sizemore starts 15th here. Ethan Eckert back in 16th. He's going to have some work to do. And Jimmy Emos rounding out heat number 2. He will start in 17th. We won't bring up the race info for you again because it's the same. But again, we'll mention some of kind of the key points of it. 10 laps here for heat number 2. We didn't see any cautions in heat 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not possible. Everybody good to go on fuel and tires. That won't be a concern. You do have a fast repair as well if you have to use it. But with only 10 laps, I think the general hope has got to be that you can stick with the leaders, because if you lose that lead pack, you are not guaranteed a caution, and it is going to be tough to get that track position back. And of course, don't forget that there is a little bit of prize money on the line here at the end of the heat. $25 to the heat winner. Daniel Falkingham took the first heat, so he'll start on the pole and is already just about made his entry fee back as he did win the first $25. And the question is, who's going to get it here? By the way, you look at the entries that we had here tonight, and it was a pretty good number. I think it's going to be right at 34. So we'll keep tabs on that as we get the feature going, but let's see what these guys can do. They all had a chance to watch the racing and the action in Heat 1, and we'll see if they go about it a little bit calmer, a little bit more aggressive. It seems like one heat is always more aggressive than the other. Here we go. Green flag in the air. We're back underway at Daytona. And it's a good restart for the one of Garrett Maines. Jason Maines alongside him. And already, Kyler Wynn quick to pull out a line. He's going to try to go to the front here before they even get half a lap complete. David Sheets going to get split in the middle. Jason Maines going to have a decision to make right here. Where does he want to go? Trying to help Sheets right now. But now Kyler Wynn's going to start to roll up top. As here comes Joshua McCullough in the 05 pushing on the bottom. They're going to start to stack up and pull away as Baker and Garrett Maines now going to move to the high side. Jason will pick him up as, whoa, man. Another big move right there. That was Chase Mastretta who just slammed the door on Jason Maines down the super stretch. And they'll try to realign things on the bottom now. John Ward, the captain for Hyper Motorsports, leading this inside line. He's got the 41 of Dalton Steele pushing right now. Kyler Wynn in tow. And Wynn quickly back to the high side. You can tell that 82. He is out here with a purpose tonight. He wants to get to the front here and try to take this heat. But he's going to have a tough pass here in Matthew Baker and Jason Maines. Garrett Maines right now, who leads the field in that one machine as they continue to roll on the outside of the racetrack. And for Matthew Baker here, he's going to have to back off sooner or later. Those two are tandemed up, and I mean, they are flying right now. But you know that sooner or later here, Baker's going to run out of temps and have to back it off. And it looks like he may have just done that. He'll start to slow it down now. By the way, we talked about the track temp at the start of Heat 1. Show you it again in case you missed it. 79 degrees. That is a relatively pretty cool track temp. And the reason that that's important is because that's going to help both the speeds and the effectiveness of how quickly you can cool these race cars here tonight after pushing. And so let's see what these guys can do here down the front stretch. Matthew Baker, as he links up on Garrett Maines, they'll quickly approach the mid-190s. As they do so here, they work down the front stretch. Can this inside make a charge back? We'll take away the weather, but keep up the dashboard speeds for you here for a lap or so. Already just 8 laps remaining here in heat number 2. Garrett Maines continues to lead the way. Here comes Kyler Wynn and John Ward trying to make a charge back down on the bottom. Now they're really moving. 196 as they worked on to the super stretch. Kyler Wynn, he is flying. He's going to be the first driver here down the super stretch to hit 200. In fact, he'll cap out at 202. John Ward, one of the best pushers in money racing, especially in these next-gen cars. You'll see a lot of drivers, if they see that 92 around, they are more than happy to either push him or try to jump out and have him push them. John Ward proving that he knows how to get it done in these next gens. Joshua McCullough, he's been kind of darting around, looking for another move, but there just hasn't really been one to make, at least not yet. So he'll have to settle back into about that 5th spot on the outside line. Meanwhile, for a couple of the drivers that got split early on, David Sheets, right now he's sitting back in the 12th position as Tyler Morgan currently running just behind him. Steve Sizemore and Larry McDonald have actually fallen off the lead pack. Not sure what happened to these two, but we'll see if they can get it back towards the front or at least catch caution as Jimmy Emos right now back in 16th and Ethan Eckert not being scored on the racetrack. Not sure if he had an issue or another problem. Either way, though, these guys are trying to get 3 wide. You can see a couple drivers trying to sneak to that 3rd lane. Looks like Mastretta is waiting for Matthew Baker to leave him just enough room to try to do something. Baker has not made that mistake yet. There's the rear view. Matthew Baker, as Chase Mastretta, we talked about getting a lot of pushing from out back. He was able to back it off there just a little bit down the short chute into turn 1. And you see him now, actually. Looks like a couple of drivers fanning out 3 wide here towards the back of the pack. You got to be careful doing this. These cars, it is very easy to lose the lead draft, and it looks like they'll pretty quickly try to line back up. As you've got Hunter Hastings leading that ordeal right there. Dalton Steele trying to get linked up with his teammate there in the 30 machine, James Wagner, the captain for RNR, as the 06 is Sheets still stuck on the outside, but starting to see now what might be a bit of a 5-car breakaway, and we're going to be coming to just 5 laps to go when they cross the line this time. And I'm telling you up front right now, I know a lot of things still got to play out, but I am so curious to see how this move for the win's going to work out, because you've got Kyler Wynn, one of the most aggressive and talented drivers in the series. You know he's not going to just give this up. Doesn't matter if it's Garrett Maines, doesn't matter if it's Matthew Baker or anybody. And this train, if they make a move on him on the last lap, he is going to block for all he's worth. Garrett Maines, former Coke Series driver, he also knows how to get the job done and make the right moves. And you know he's going to be aggressive and not take no for an answer on the last lap. So it's going to be very interesting if those two pull away coming off of turn 4 on the last lap. Who makes the move and whose move really works out? Now Garrett, though, going to jump to the bottom. Kyler going to try to block. Whoa, there it is. I thought we'd see it on the last lap. We're going to see it here with 5 to go. Garrett looked like beat Kyler down to the bottom, and Kyler got a little loose on the block, but still was able to cover it, even though that was the case. And a very aggressive move right there from Kyler, but what that does is kind of shows Garrett Maines Kyler wins cards, and it does the same for Kyler. They both know kind of what each other is going to do now next time they try to make a move. And you see Kyler win now. Going to go back to the bottom. He'll block Joshua McCullough. Josh going to push the 82. And, man, they are all sorts of out of shape just behind him. John Ward trying to stay in line. And, whoa, they're going to wreck out back. Trouble. Matthew Baker into the outside wall. We'll see if it brings out caution here. Baker going to get it back rolling now as he's trying to go back to the inside of the racetrack. He'll stay towards the middle. Now he works down to the bottom. Steve Sizemore not involved. I thought they did get one more driver in that, though. Either way, everybody continues, so we'll keep it up front now as they come to officially just 3 laps to go here at Daytona. Again, this is just for heat number 2, so if you're waiting for the feature here tonight, that will be coming up here shortly after the conclusion of heat number 2. As Joshua McCullough now finds himself out in front and makes the move up to the top. John Ward follows. Whoa, Garrett's going to get turned into John Ward. The 92 is going to go around. He'll spin as no caution again. Another incident that really ends up kind of only being one car, but John Ward, that's going to end his chances here as it looked like maybe Garrett and Kyler not quite centered on each other, and that got Garrett out of shape into Ward. They all save it, except for John Ward, who's out of it, and here comes the bottom yet again. And this time it'll be just 2 laps to go as it looks like the 41 of Dalton Steele had enough of pushing Joshua McCullough. He'll switch, take that spot over. Now Kyler Wynn going to try to do some pushing on the outside. Still 2 by 2, but now it's just the 9 of Hunter Hastings all by himself on the bottom. And right now, if you're Garrett Maines, you got to feel pretty good. David Sheets behind. You know that David's going to be a pretty loyal pusher, at least until that last lap. But Kyler Wynn, you know he's going to get aggressive here. Who's he going to go with? Looks like he's debating. He'll go with the 41 of Dalton Steele, though, here down the super stretch. And as he does so, got to be careful. A couple blocks starting to get a little bit closer here. David Sheets, though, up front, making that move a little sooner than I thought he would. The 06 going to go to the point with his teammate, Joshua McCullough. They'll slide up in front of Garrett Maines. And they got to make that decision now. Will they go to the top or will they stay on the bottom? Looks like they're going to drag that whole line all the way up to the top. As here we go. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go in heat number 2. David Sheets still leading the way. I don't think Joshua McCullough will make a move on the 06 right here, but it's going to be all about a question of can these two stay out in front. Watch out. Here we go. Garrett Maines and Kyler Wynn. They're charging up a run. Are they going to make the move down the super stretch? Yes, they are. There goes Garrett. He'll grab a side draft. And him and the 82 are flying. Can they get a little bit more help? No, they won't. The middle's going to get sucked back by the outside now. Garrett still looking to get clear as they work into turn 3 for the final time. Boy, Joshua McCullough pushing hard back. This could be a drag race. It's a 2 versus 2 versus 2 tandem. Off at turn 4, Joshua McCullough gets loose. Watch out on the outside. How about Hunter Hastings pushing the 41 out in front? Dalton Steele is going to take heat number 2 at Daytona. And I don't think anybody on the bottom of the middle line saw that coming. What a move at the end by Dalton Steele and Hunter Hastings to steal one. Boy, those two charged up on the backstretch, and when they jumped to the outside, I did not think that would be where the run would end up. Coming to the line, but it is Dalton Steele in that beautiful number 41, James Wagner's Welding. Dark Horse Ford Mustang's got the PGR eSports logo, and that's a beautiful car to go and park in Victory Lane, and now he will earn just about his entry fee back as we wrap up heat number 2. And I think that one arguably just as good as what we saw in heat 1. A couple more incidents, but again, no cautions. So that's got to be the good news there. Looking at your heat 2 results before we set your starting grid here for the race here tonight. Dalton Steele, again, your winner of heat number 2. Hunter Hastings finished 2nd, gave the winning push. David Sheets back in 3rd with Garrett Maines 4th. Joshua McCullough in 5th. Kyler Wynn finishes in 6th. James Wagner back in the 7th spot. Looks like it's going to be Jason Maines finishing in 8th. Sean Corbett 9th. And Tyler Morgan rounding out your top 10. Steve Sizemore finishes back in 11th. It's going to be Larry McDonald in 12th. With Chase Mastretta back in the 13th position. John Ward in 14th. Matthew Baker in 15th. Jimmy Emos in 16th. And then Ethan Eckert being scored in that final 17th position in heat number 2. Well, sometimes these drivers get a warm-up in between, and it looks like that may very, very well be what they have now. In fact, we'll bring up the ticker here for you and show you how much time they have left in the warm-up, showing just 1 minute and 53 seconds. So it shouldn't be too much longer here before we are going green for the feature here tonight. And so as we wait, a couple of announcements to make. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope that you are having a good Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, and you are watching the Roughneck Racing's Madness Money Racing Series live from Daytona International Speedway. PGR 500 coming up. A lot of things now set in place. We mention it because it's the biggest event in sim racing coming up soon in any type of money racing. All the guys you see in here, I can bet that just about all of them you are going to see in that event as well. The broadcast team has been finalized. And again, going to be all the regular PGR eSports commentators, myself, Dawson Wise, Matt Metler, Landon Velicki, along with 2 series owners, Michael Triscaro and Matthew Baker, will be assisting in the booth as well. And then the 2 special guests that we are very excited to have, Coke Series announcer Evan Pasoko, going to be joining us for the feature on Sunday, along with former Podium 500 producer Christian Hill. He will be producing the feature on Sunday. It's going to be a good one. Don't want to miss out on that, as sponsorships are just about officially full for the PGR 500. The title sponsor has been taken by Wagoner's Welding. The associate sponsor was collected by Blanchard's Towing, I believe. And again, haven't looked at the official layout of it. Just got an update, though, from the boss a little bit earlier today. I know the LCQs were taken. The duels are going to be sponsored by VRX Simulators. Prime has sponsored, as has Tucker McClendon. So already well over $1,000 just in sponsorship money. That doesn't include the over $2,000 worth of entries so far that have come in. And we are still a couple weeks away. That's plenty of time to get your entry in. If you're interested in joining, make sure you do check it out on PGR eSports.com. You can find the registration form there. I think that's about all the announcements I have regarding that. And how about that? Pretty good timing. Timer hits 0, white flag out, and that means that it is time to get set up for tonight's featured event. All right, so these guys will wrap things up. We'll go ahead and put the tower away and give them just a moment to get lined up here to officially take the starting grid here tonight. And again, if you missed the heats, Heat 1 winner was again Daniel Falkingham. Got the job done, making the move on his teammate at the end. And then Heat 2 winner stole it at the end. Dalton Steele with a push from Hunter Hastings on that 3rd lane. Made a move in the last half a lap, and I think shocked a lot of people, especially the drivers that were sitting in that middle and inside line. And here we go. Field going to get themselves lined up. And that means that it is time to get into tonight's starting grid for your featured event. Starting on the pole, winner of Heat number 1, Daniel Falkingham. And on the outside, starting in 2nd, is the Heat 2 winner, Dalton Steele. Freddie Bosnez back to the 3rd spot. It's going to be Hunter Hastings in 4th, with Brian Hennings in 5th, David Sheets back in 6th. Landon Velicki will roll off 7th here in the feature tonight, with Garrett Maines to his outside in 8th. Tommy Gossett in 9th, and Joshua McCullough rounding out your top 10. Nash Brambilla, he'll start 11th. Kyler Wynn to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to row number 7, it's Dylan Jones and James Wagner, with Cody Nagels back in 15th. Jason Maines 16th. It's Chris Blanchard back in 17th, with Sean Corbett 18th. Chris Melton in 19th. And Tyler Morgan rounding out your top 20. Tyler Vickery starts 21st. Steve Sizemore back in 22nd, with Nathan Harper in 23rd. And then you've got Larry McDonald back in 24th. Preston Alexander will start 25th. Chase Mastretta in 26th, with Ken McCullough Jr. back in at 27th. John Ward 28th. Ambrose Kniebel in 29th. And Matthew Baker rounding out your top 30. Mark Vondell starts in 31st. Jimmy Emos 32nd. Matt Lee in 33rd. With Ethan Eckert back in 34th. And again, not sure if he's actually starting the race or not. That is where it has him scored, though, nonetheless. So we'll find out here pretty quickly. All right, so just mentioning what the race info is looking like here again for the feature tonight. 60 laps going to be the distance. And I believe it's 50% fuel for these drivers. We'll know, though, based off when they have to make that first pit stop. 3 green-white checkers is always fixed setups, and you do have a fast repair in your pocket in case you need it. But certainly don't want to get yourself caught up in an accident too early, as you'd like to save that fast repair, at least for the end, when things tend to get pretty crazy. And with your 2 heat winners up front, you wonder if one of them can go for the sweep here tonight and win the race as well. By the way, the other thing that I do want to mention, PGR eSports, as of recent, did hit 500 subscribers. Thank you all so much for that. And as part of the benefits, we are now part of the YouTube partnership program. That means that we do now have super chats. You'll probably see them down there just by your chat button. I believe it looks something like a dollar symbol with the money logo, but if you ever feeling a little generous, whether it's 50 cents, a dollar, we don't care. You want to give us a little something, we always appreciate it. Just wanted to let everybody know about that. And with that, it's time to go racing. All right, here we go. Pace car going to work out of turn 4 as the 60 of Freddie Bosnez maybe saving a little fuel right there. You wonder if he thinks something's a little close strategy-wise. Either way, he's going to quickly work his way right back in line. And the iRacing.com pace car going to make the left turn. It's what we've been waiting for. It's time to get going. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We are racing in the feature at Daytona. And already trouble further back. Caution is out. Multiple cars around here before they even get out of trouble. We still got cars spinning all over the place here. And you wonder if it's a stack up on the restart. Got a good feeling that's probably what it is. And not the way that you wanted to get this feature started here tonight. Chase Mastretta, I'm not sure if he's got damage, but it appears that he was involved. As that 8 car gets back rolling, he's going to try to make his way back up towards the front. Mastretta here, let's see. Ooh, looks like that right front may have some pretty significant damage with the way his wheels turn. And yep, sure enough, you see that right front kind of kink to the left, so he's going to have to go in for some repairs. Maybe take that one fast repair again way earlier than you would want to here tonight. See if we can go back and take a look at exactly what happens right here. As you're going to see Chase Mastretta, this is going to be a major stack up on the restart. You can just see that from this angle right here. So that's Larry McDonald in the 80 here. I wonder if he maybe misses a shift. Now, I know Larry's had just a little bit of trouble sometimes with restarts in the past. It may be something with his setup. And yeah, it looks like he just doesn't get going there. You got to assume maybe missed a shift. We'll grab an onboard view, but I mean, that just stacks him up big time out back. Mastretta eventually gets turned as, I mean, everybody just trying to follow in line. Not really expecting that big of a checkup. And then you see John Ward gets down into the 04. Mastretta gets turned pretty much dead right into that outside safer barrier. Larry McDonald starts to spin. And it didn't end there. You're going to see a couple more drivers start to spin around here. Everybody's trying to miss it. Ambrose Knievel spun to the inside. Actually does hit that inside wall. Man, Larry McDonald takes a pretty good hit there as well. I mean, a couple drivers here that you thought may have missed it. And for Matthew Baker, I think he may have tapped the inside wall as well. Let's see what it looked like from his point of view here. This is going to be coming to the restart zone. He's behind John Ward. Expects him to get going, and then, I mean, that is just such a quick checkup. There's just nothing you can do as he tries to sneak through it here. Goes for a slide and then starts rolling towards the inside wall here, but eventually is able to get it straightened back up and point it in the right direction. So not too much damage, but a little bit on the front. But again, he may want to go see if he can get fixed up here since it is really early. Let's go to the onboard view here. This time, though, we're going to go all the way back to Larry McDonald now. And this was the car that we believe may have missed a shift. Let's watch and see. And you see those RPMs blinking. He's in second. Accelerates in second. And then just never shifts from second. Not sure if he had a technical issue or what, as it just seemed like never was able to get out of second. Right there. Finally does shift to third. But, I mean, by that point, just think it's a little bit too late. Had already gotten spun around for Ambrose Knievel. He took a pretty good shot in this as well. Watch it from the spectator view. And let's see here. You're going to see it out back. Watch how quick it happens on the outside. I mean, I guess I should say maybe the one benefit here is that it happened as far towards the back as it did. If that would have happened up front, that could have very well collected half to all of the field. Certainly an unfortunate incident. Not the way that anybody wanted to start this race, but as we give you one more angle of it here from the drone cam. Big hit for Chase Mastretta, and then you see on the bottom left of your screen right there, Ambrose Knievel spinning. He's the other car that takes a pretty big hit right there. Larry McDonald. And then the rest of them are going to be able to sneak through, it looks like, for the most part. All right. So as we now go back live, 3 of 60 laps complete. Up front, leading the way, Dalton Steele. Daniel Falkingham on the outside in second. Hunter Hastings back in third. Freddie Bosnez fourth. And Brian Hennings currently rounding out your top 5. And how about it? First super chat, PGR eSports channel history. Richard Elliott with the $10 donation. $9.99 says, great job as always, Austin. Richard, we certainly appreciate it. Glad to see you in here tonight. A little shocked we don't see you on track, though. Used to seeing you out here. Hopefully we can see you out here tomorrow night during PGR. Hope to see a lot of the same guys out. But again, we appreciate you watching, Richard, and appreciate that $9.99 donation. All right. So first caution here is the lights should go off on the pace car. Sure enough, they do. And so 4 of 60 laps complete. Looks like it'll be 5 of 60 laps complete when they grab the green flag. Hunter Hastings, by the way, cannot say enough about the job this guy did in his heat. I mean, if I'm out here right now and I'm looking for somebody to work with, I'm looking right at that Yoo-hoo machine, the 9 of Hunter Hastings. He has been a heck of a pusher so far, and him and Dalton Steele finding each other again might be a very, very good duo and one that you got to watch out for here tonight, as they are looking strong. Scott Kazan in the chat says we need an update on Ethan. Well, the biggest update I can give you is that he's not on track, and I think I saw somebody right earlier, it may have been Richard Elliott, that they think he might be banned, and that's why he's just trying to sneak in. I don't know what the deal is, but there's a good possibility it's something of that nature. Hard to say either way, but yeah, Ethan Eckert, even though it shows him in the session, did not actually start his heat and did not start in the feature here tonight. So not exactly sure what the deal is with that. I'm looking back a little bit further here in the pack at some of the cars that you know are going to be probably pretty aggressive here. And I'm looking at Landon Veliky, Garrett Maines, Kyler Wynn, all hanging around kind of the middle portion of this pack. He's got a little bit of work cut out for him. Still plenty of time and still a green flag pit stop well in play, maybe even 2. Depending on if these guys can keep it green here for a little bit. I think that was just kind of a brief mishap. I think we'll be okay here. If everybody can get a little bit of a better restart this time. See if we can get rolling here and get some green flag laps in the book. Books, I should say. And so here we go. Chase Mastretta all the way at the back here. Reporting some potential issues for him is, like, did he just get in the grass there briefly? He may have, but it seems like he's okay. So back up front we go. The pace car ready to try it again, and so are we. As here we go. Back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway at Daytona. And the first official green flag lap now complete here in the feature tonight at Daytona. And as it did in Heat 1, it'll go to Daniel Falkingham right now, getting pushed by the 60 machine of Freddie Bosnez. The 62 of Landon Veliky currently back in that 3rd spot. 41 of Dalton Steele still wrapping the yellow. Ooh, man, boy, up top. I think that was Tommy Gossett just behind Veliky. They got a little bit mismatched there. Almost like Veliky went down for a side draft. Gossett thought about maybe trying to split him. Veliky tried to react and get back up there. He did. Boy, that was certainly a close call that can catch your attention as Hunter Hastings a little bit wiggly on the bottom of the racetrack. And there you go. Veliky this time looks like he is going to commit back to the high side. He'll get some help. And they're going to leave out the 80 of Tommy Gossett, as it looks like Garrett Maines, Joshua McCullough, and Jason Maines all going to jump up to that high side as well. 7 laps complete here, so getting closer to that 10-lap mark. You see, looks like that middle not going to fall back too far before they pick up a little bit of help. That's Cody Nagel's pushing on the back bumper of Tommy Gossett, so they will save it. I guess I should say save some momentum, as the 49 of Chris Melton trying to roll with these guys as well. A little bit of a second pack here starting to develop, but it looks like they've all got enough momentum where they should be able to catch back up to the leaders. So we hop on board there briefly with Jimmy Emos. Now we'll move a spot up to Matthew Baker. Baker currently up 4 spots from where he started this race at. Was involved in the last incident. Whoa, watch out up front. Had one jump to the apron. Did he blow up? Some sort of trouble here. Trying to figure out exactly who it was. That's Freddie Bosnez. Maybe didn't blow up. He's very slow here, though. I don't know. Freddie Bosnez, does he have power under the hood? He does, but it's minimal. He did. He blew up. Freddie Bosnez blows the motor in his Ford Mustang here early on. Let's see what happens. He was pushing on the high side. And it's going to be as he gets into turn 3. We'll go to the cockpit view. Talked about that cooler track temp, but doesn't mean that you can push forever and get into turn 3. He bails out, but right there, it's blown. Seems like it's blown. It's definitely weird. kind of the way that it was underpowered. Let's see, did he have a lot of room here? I mean, it's a smart move. He does a great thing here by getting down off the racetrack with whatever issue he's having. I mean, we thought initially he got turned, but watch here. Whatever issue he's having, he's kind of waiting to see what it is. Eventually, he figures out that whatever it is, it's a significant enough of a problem that I think he's just going to jump down to the bottom unless he gets hooked down there. I don't think he did. No, he didn't. That's definitely Bosnez just being smart, realizing that he's got a problem and just diving completely out of the way here to make sure he doesn't clean out the field. I'll tell you what, that's a very, very respectable move right there from Bosnez, just to, again, get out of the way in a very difficult position to make sure that he didn't hurt anybody else's race, and he was able to limp it around to the pits, so he'll be able to take a fast repair here and should be able to get back out on the racetrack. The only problem here is he may be one. I don't know. It'll be close on if he goes 1 or 2 laps down. As, oh, trouble, caution. Caution in this front pack here. What happened? Got one around here sliding towards the inside wall. Is that Chris Blanchard? No, that's Tommy Gossett. The 80 machine. Gossett able to get back rolling here. I don't see any obvious damage, at least not from this point of view. Don't see any damage on the front for Gossett either. See if there's any on the rear here. Doesn't look like it. So that is the good news there for Tommy Gossett. The bad news is, of course, he's going to lose track position. Dylan Jones, maybe the other car involved right here in this. Let's see exactly what happens. See if we can figure out exactly what got things started. So here we go. We'll look at the chopper view first. They're just about 4 wide at this point. That's the 30 of James Wagner up top. But the issue is still going to start here with the 80 of Tommy Gossett as they're working through 3 and 4, kind of coming out of turn 4. Gossett trying to slot down in front of Cody Nagels. Just not enough room, not quite clear. And when he goes to do so, Cody's there. That starts to turn the 80. Now he's just all over the place trying to save it. They're 4 wide all over the place up top as well, trying to miss it. As kind of at the same time here, you see Wagner. He gets into the outside wall. John Ward has to try to go to the inside. Looks like for the most part they all save it. Dylan Jones dives low. And it ends up being, again, a pretty harmless spin for the 80 of Tommy Gossett. So a lucky break there. Things could have certainly been a lot worse right there for the 80 machine, but it looks like he holds on to give you a bit of a different angle here of this. Look at Dylan Jones diving to the inside here, hoping that he's able to miss it. And sure enough, he is. But for Tommy Gossett, that's going to be a hard lesson learned. This early on, you got to be really, really careful on the moves. You need to be clear by more than plenty. And in this case, I don't even know if he was, it wouldn't even have been by barely. You could see just not much room. I know these guys are racing pretty tight with each other, but that's going to give Nagels some damage as well, actually, when we look at it from that point of view. I didn't realize he took a couple more little shots there to the left side of the 80 car. I think either way, overall, those two are going to be okay. I don't think any fast repairs here will be needed, as I want to give you one more look at this here from the pit lane view. And there's the 80. Goes around. So the rest of the field gets through without any issue. All right, we're going to go back live now. 11 of 60 laps complete. And so now I think you're going to see, well, you probably already saw it, everybody making a pit stop just for fuel to set yourselves up to go a bit farther here now to at least lap 30 or so before you'd have to make that next green flag stop. Ken McCullough Jr., though, currently being scored as your leader. Tyler Morgan in second. Tyler Morgan, highest running spot that he's been in so far here tonight. Same deal for Ken McCullough Jr. They are up 26th and 18th positions, respectively, from where they started this race at. Preston Alexander back in third. Daniel Falkingham fourth, with Landon Velicki in fifth. Garrett Maines in sixth. And then you've got Dalton Steele in seventh. Nash Brambilla eighth. Nathan Harper in ninth. And Joshua McCullough currently rounding out your top 10. So it looks like we'll probably go back green here, I would assume, with about 13 of 60 laps complete, assuming the lights on the pace car do go off this next time they cross the start-finish line. Again, shout out to everybody tuning in here tonight. Some of the people that I see watching. Baker's Mom, good to see you. Richard Elliott, as we all saw earlier, good to see you, Richard. Lisa W., Mark Math. Looks like Lisa W., I think we just mentioned her. Tyler Vickery. I was looking for Tyler, and he is in here. Good to see you. Scott Kazin. Hope you are having a good night as well. Looks like Venom Chase, which I believe was Chase Mastretta, in here. Good to see you, Chase. Jeff Merck, tuning in here recently. Good to see you in here as well, Jeff. And as again, you are watching Roughneck Racing's Madness Money Racing Series. And while we have a chance here, maybe another good opportunity to just kind of briefly mention, at least the best we can, about the way this whole points format and things are set up here, which started again tonight. And basically the way it works is it's the first points race here again tonight. The points fund in total is $1,500. and that'll pay the top 5 in points out at the end of the season. Top 10 in tonight's race are the drivers that will receive points, and it will still be the regular top 5 payout. And in terms of, again, exactly what the money is for the drivers that finish in the top 5, we'll have those numbers as these races go on. But there you go. So now you have an idea of kind of what to think about here as the weeks go on. Keep an eye on the drivers that stay consistent. So looks like these guys are going to do 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yep, total of 9 races in this points playoff style format to determine, again, those top 5 in points. So kind of similar to what we've seen in a couple other series, RMR, along with a couple of others where you're fighting for regular weekly payouts, but also a championship payout. And next week, it'll be off to Talladega Superspeedway. We'll be in the trucks. January 22nd, we'll be back here in Daytona in the Xfinity cars. And then back to the next gens at Talladega, followed by the trucks. That'll be the race just before Speed Week, or at least, I guess I should say kind of, yeah, the week before Speed Week, sure enough, the 12th. That'll be at Daytona. And then on February 19th, we'll be back in the Xfinity cars at Talladega. All right. So it will indeed be 13 of 60 laps complete as they cross the line this time. As Baker's mom says, Baker smashed and put towards the back, and I'm assuming still referring to that first incident, because since then, Baker has been on the move to try to get himself right back towards the front, at least as quick as he can. And right now, as it stands, Baker currently sits in that 19th spot, so still some work to do, but that 5 car is clean, as here we go back into the Geico restart zone for Tyler Morgan and Ken McCullough Jr. Green flag back in the air. It's a good restart as they both will get a good jump. On the bottom side of the racetrack, though, is where it looks like the momentum was going to be. Not so much. Ken McCullough Jr., Daniel Falkingham up top with the better run, at least for now. And you can see this high line trying to roll here. The one of Garrett Maines. If he gets there, where's he going to go? He'll have Veliky and Toad. Does he go to the bottom or does he stay up top for now? Looks like he is more than content with staying at the top of the racetrack for the moment. Still 2x2. Whoa! One in the wall. David Sheets. Trouble down the super stretch. The 06 into the outside safer barrier. Caution back out. And now do we have more trouble? We do. Blanchard. Chris Blanchard goes around towards the end of the super stretch. And for Blanchard, I don't see a ton of damage. Maybe a little bit here on the left front. A little hard to tell from that angle. Actually, definitely some on the right side. And unfortunately for David Sheets, he does have, at least it looks like, rather significant damage here on the left front, just as we got back going green. Trouble strikes again pretty quickly. And for David Sheets in the 06, you can see that left front crumpled up pretty good. Let's go back, take a look at exactly what happened here. And what went wrong for David Sheets is he had been running kind of towards the back. We saw him get, I believe he gets hooked here. But the question of exactly what puts him in that spot is, I think, a little bit more of what we're going to try to figure out. So you see as they're coming off turn 2, Matthew Baker, we said he was going to be trying to get back to the front. Sheets goes a little low. Now, I don't think there was contact. We can look at that again from one more angle, but you can see right there, I don't see any contact for David Sheets. Maybe a little bit of a checkup. Yeah, there was. You saw the fire out of the pipes, but Matthew Baker sees Sheets dive low, so he's going to take advantage. Says, if you're going to leave it open up here, I'll go for it. Baker's going to try to get to his outside, and he does. And I just wonder if Sheets didn't realize that he was there, or if David Sheets had a different issue, because watch, the 06 is just going to kind of go to the right there. Yeah, right there. Now, I will say, you noticed in front, Brian Henning's kind of moving up to the middle. You wonder if David Sheets saw that, and that's kind of the reason he reacted and made that move to the right. Either way, let's get an onboard view here with David Sheets and see what it looks like from his point of view, if he was making that move with the steering wheel, or if there's something else that we missed here. Now watch as Brian Hennings goes up in front. He's going to see that. And I think he's just trying to tuck in line behind Matt Lee. It's hard to tell. Unless, like I said, he just has some sort of brief issue. But you see the steering wheel. He makes a move to the right. He makes another move to the right. At this point, he stays straight. But by that point, it didn't matter. It already happened. So yeah, it looks like that one's going to be on the 06 of David Sheets most likely. And then once he gets pinned into the outside wall, everybody's trying to sneak through and kind of bounces off all of a sudden at the last second. Boy, that was an odd one. And then, of course, Chris Blanchard, nowhere to go. He thinks these guys are staying on the outside wall. And watch it again here. Does he get kind of just shot out of the outside wall? They're dragging along that outside safer barrier, and then watch for it. You see Blanchard coming along. Yeah, right there. starts to turn back the other way, and yeah, just kind of shoots him off the wall. You see that suspension broke and pointing that car dead left. That's a pretty significant hit for Chris Blanchard. You got to worry about maybe some suspension damage with a hit like that. And unfortunately, tough break for both Sheets, Chris Blanchard, and of course Matthew Baker here, the other car that got collected. And you see Baker here, once he got squeezed right there, I don't know how much damage he gets out of it, but if he already took that fast repair, I'm not sure if he did or not, but if he did, it's certainly going to put him in a tough spot. All right, so as we go back live now, we'll check first at the front of the field, where Ken McCullough Jr. is still being scored as your leader, as we are now about a quarter of the way through this 60-lap event. And you've got Daniel Falkingham currently in second, Ashburn Billa third, with Joshua McCullough fourth, and John Ward currently rounding out your top five. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing, and we'll be right back for the restart here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We won't run! We won't run!
Ladies and gentlemen, look, this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's on! Oh, that's good.
All right, welcome back to Daytona International Speedway as we are getting ready to get back to green flag racing here in the Madness Money Racing Series. 16 of 60 laps complete. It'll be 17 as they grab the restart right here, and here we go. Falkingham, Ken McCullough Jr. ready to go as they'll roll back up into the Geico Reef back in the air. Good restarts up front. A little bit of an issue here for Jim Emos further back, and they got to sort this out here pretty quick. Jim Emos trying to stay on the outside. Woo. Man, that 67 looked like he was trying to make a block down to the middle, and Bosnez split him. And now Jimmy Emos will stay to the outside. He's going to fade back here until somebody either lets him in or he finds a spot further back. He will jump in just in front of the 66 machine. That's Tyler Morgan. So as those two start to line back up, we turn our attention back up front. Daniel Falkingham leading the outside now. He was able to get clear, jumped right up in front of the 03 of Ken McCullough Jr. It's not going to stop there. How about John Ward getting clear? He tried to bring Nash Brambilla up with him. Nash, though, not going. He's going to stay on the bottom here with Kyler Wynn. Another big move further back. That was Mark Vondell that you saw go from bottom to top. Cody Nagels trying to line up behind the 59 machine of Mark Vondell as they cross the line here. By the way, it's still close now. I did want to mention with this restart, it's a little bit close on if you can make it on a one stop. But if we get another caution, it'll be now a guaranteed one stop from that point. But either way, still 2x2 here as they work off the 30+ degrees of banking off of turn number 2 onto the super stretch. And up front, leading the way, John Ward now back to the inside. He got the opportunity to lead a couple laps during his heat, but unfortunately got taken out near the end. That big aggressive move, got to be careful. It works out for Ward that time, but you can't overshoot it. Similar to what he had just did right there down the super stretch. Any sort of mistake like that at the end, guys, they're not going to cut you a break. They're going to split you right to the middle, and if you don't have any help in this car, you will go to the back in a hurry. So as they stay 2x2 up front, oh, maybe a little trouble here towards the back. Yeah, we do have trouble. And caution's out. The 9 and Chris Blanchard spinning through the tri-oval. Back onto the racetrack he comes. But it looks like he's okay. I don't see anybody else involved. And Larry McDonald, though, the other car down in the grass on the front stretch. It looks like he's also going to be able to get it back rolling. These two will get by the pace car. Continue on. This was in that second group, I believe. I don't think this had anything to do with the front pack. And so now, as I just mentioned, it'll make it a pretty much definitive one-stop strategy from here. That's even if it's green all the way. If we get some more cautions, we could be looking at potentially no pit stops, depending on, of course, how things play out. All right, here we go. Let's watch Chris Blanchard here, kind of at the start of wherever this incident's going to occur at. And if we watch it first, and I do want to go briefly to the chase cam, yeah. So you can see right there, that front pack way up there. These guys had lost that front pack. So really, they should be focusing on trying to get organized, getting lined up, and try to go track down that lead pack. But instead, let's see what happens here. They're catching a slower car right here. And I believe we'll figure out exactly who that is. I think that's the 8 machine of Steve Sizemore that they jump around right here. And everything's okay here. That's not where the issue's going to come in. It's as Steve Sizemore tries to go to block Jason Maines right here. I will say it is almost kind of interesting here, kind of where they caught these two cars. Lee goes to the outside. It looks like initially Jason's going to follow, but it almost seems like, I guess, Steve's kind of drifting up. So Jason goes back to the bottom. Now Steve comes down the racetrack, and that really leaves Jason Maines with no choice but to go to the apron. And while all this is happening, it's stacking him up out back because they're trying to figure out what's going on. And Larry McDonald checking up for Matthew Baker. Blanchard trying to check up for Larry McDonald. But it looks like he gets a little bit of contact from Ambrose Kniebel. And that eventually gets him into Larry McDonald, and it's going to send these two spinning. And as Larry McDonald spins around, he tags Blanchard again. And that left rear, that eventually sends Blanchard all the way around. And his car spins back up on the racetrack. Very lucky, though, to not, again, tag that outside safer barrier with the way that car was spinning back up the track. So a good break right there for Chris Blanchard. Let's go back, take another look at it here. This is going to be from a zoomed-in point of view. Watch it again here. And you see Chris Blanchard there. See Ambrose Kniebel, they're all checking up. I mean, I see fire out of the pipes of every single one of these cars, but eventually the checkup just gets a little too big for everybody to kind of account for. And then once these two get together, I mean, it's on from here. Nothing Larry McDonald can do at this point. Nothing Chris Blanchard can really do at this point. Both kind of along for the ride. And wow, boy, did you see how close that one was? Watch this, is who's just going to sneak by Larry McDonald right here without actually making any contact. Is that going to be, is that the 8 of Chase Mastretta? Looks like it might be. Boy, that was really, really close. Even Larry McDonald, as he slid back up the racetrack, did a nice job right there. Not hitting the outside concrete. At least keeping it as together as he could in that scenario. Let's give you another view right there from the starter cam. Give you one more quick look at this here from the pit lane view. And it's always a cool shot. Kind of shows these guys from a bit of a different perspective. And as Larry goes around, there's the contact with Blanchard. But again, another incident that keeps kind of the aggression level and the nerves high, because you don't really get that chance to run a long green flag run and really let things settle in, settle down, and let the race kind of come to you. So we'll see how these guys adjust. But how about this up front? Boy, isn't this a pretty cool shot? I'm sure the R&R boys are going to have to get a screenshot of this one later. Currently sitting 1, 2, 3, all in beautiful Wagoner's Welding paint schemes. And those are the schemes that these guys will be running for the PGR 500. But up front leading it is Chris Melton, with his teammate Dalton Steele to his outside in second. And James Wagner back in third, Hunter Hastings fourth. Jason Maines in fifth with Daniel Falkingham in sixth. Then you've got Garrett Maines in seventh, Joshua McCullough in eighth, Nash Vermilla in ninth, and John Ward currently rounding out your top 10. Cody Nagels and Kyler Wynn back in that sixth row. Landon Velicky in 13th, Harper in 14th, and Freddie Bosnez currently rounding out your top 15. All right, well, we're getting closer, slowly but surely getting closer to the halfway point in this 60-lap, 150-mile event. And we will have a chance to watch these guys go at it again next Wednesday and, of course, tomorrow night with the Intimidator Super Speedway Series. Looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. And by the way, I do want to make the announcement now as well before I forget. This will be, believe, and again, we'll see. I know things will shift, but for at least a couple, 2 or 3 months, this will be my last week of broadcasting for these guys over here at Roughneck Racing. Now, again, the plan as of right now, still got to talk with, of course, the guys, but the plan is still to keep everything on PGR eSports, but my internship is starting up. It'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., and it's an hour drive, so waking up at 3 a.m., unfortunately, that means that I'm going to have to go to bed early on Wednesdays and will not be able to watch these guys go at it. So did just want to let everybody know you will not hear me on the call starting next week, but we'll see if we can get either Landon Velicki, Matthew Baker, Dawson Wise, Michael Triscaro, Matt Metler, one of the other PGR guys out here on the call. As these guys put on a great show every week, and again, very glad to have the opportunity to commentate for them. All right, 49 machine getting ready to get back going here. Chris Melton going to have a great opportunity here to try to control this race with a teammate behind him and a teammate on the outside. We'll see how these guys decide to kind of go about it. I think the best play here would be for the 49 to jump up to the top of the racetrack. That gives you 2 on kind of the momentum part of the track, and then gives you still 1 on the bottom. If that bottom lane does start to get a run, he'll have the option, James Wagner that is, to either jump up the track or stick with that bottom line. All right, so here we go. 22 of 60, going to be 23 of 60 laps complete as they cross the line. Green flag back in the air. And that's a great restart for the 49 of Chris Melton. He's going to get the biggest jump here, and he's going to easily clear right up to the top of the racetrack. On the bottom, James Wagner waiting for some help here from Jason Maines and Garrett Maines. He'll get it as they work off in towards turn number 1. That will stack them up, though, a little bit out back here. Watch out, as it's going to go all the way back to Tyler Vickery. They all account for the checkup. Looks like everybody's okay there. Now it's about jockeying for position and doing as much pushing as you can. Velicki quickly going to shuffle up to the middle of the racetrack. Who else is going to go with him? Bosnez initially went, but he quickly jumps back down in line. And now Daniel Falkingham will move to the bottom. And I'll tell you what, I've been watching Wagner kind of a couple different spots on the racetrack, not just tonight, but even if I've had the chance to race with him. And I'll tell you what, James is one of those guys. He's great at both, but I think, and this isn't a bad thing to say by any means, I think he is a way better pusher than he is a leader. He knows how to get these guys to the front when he is doing the pushing. And when you've got somebody like Falkingham in front of you, it kind of allows you to push even more. But that may break up their momentum right there. As you saw Jason Maines here, he's going to jump to the middle. Got a big side drive now. Him and Garrett rolling. Daniel Falkingham going to leave Wagner as he makes his move up to the middle. Still single file for the first 3 or 4, but man, they can't keep doing this. You can just see the momentum is kind of all over the place. These guys don't look very organized. Garrett quickly works back down to the bottom. Now Kyler, he's going to look to the middle, needs some help. Cody Nagels to go with him. And here comes Landon Velicki, Freddie Bosnez, and how about Matthew Baker? Back to the mix. There they go. They're going to pile them up in turn 3, off of turn 4. This might be the big one. Let's see how many can escape through it here. Looks like not as bad as it could have initially been, but it's still going to collect probably 5 or 6 of them. It's on the bottom of the racetrack here. That's the 66 of Tyler Morgan. Garrett Maines trying to get back rolling. Looks like he was involved. Sean Corbett's in it. Ken McCullough Jr., the 30 of James Wagner. Jason Maines is in it. He's got major damage on the right front of his race car. And so he's going to have to go into pit. Just as we were getting close to the halfway point in this race, we're going to rack them up and try it yet again. 5th caution of the night here. In just 25 laps. It has been tough sledding early here in terms of green flag runs, but let's see what all goes wrong here. I talked about things were just starting to look really kind of too aggressive. I think the best way I could put it is they're going through turn 3 and 4 right here. Is there going to be a little bit of net code? Ooh, there is. And yikes. Got to watch out for that one right there, as that's just a bunch of net code it looked like between Cody Nagels and Jason Maines right here. Yeah, watch it again here. You see Cody. Watch this. So watch him and Garrett. Cody's in the blue and black 6 machine, the Extra Life Chevy Camaro, and right there, notice how they're not actually hitting each other. There's no contact here, but unfortunately, it's still, iRacing's still going to register it, if you will, as if they are making contact right there, and it's just enough to hook Nagels down into the one of Jason Maines. That hooks him pretty much dead right up the track into John Ward. Those two take a pretty big shot. Nathan Harper nowhere to go, and now it's the mad scramble to miss it. Look at all the cars that are going to get involved in this. Everybody trying to miss it. and see who sneaks through it. Looks like actually, again, for how bad that could have been, could have certainly been a little better right there, or could have been a little worse, I should say. It certainly works out pretty good for quite a few drivers, but that was certainly the biggest incident that we have seen so far here tonight, as we'll give you another look at it here on TV3. Again, big hit right there for Jason Maines and John Ward, Nathan Harper, Sean Corbett, nowhere to go. And at this point, got a bunch of cars just spinning all over the racetracks. Everybody's trying to miss it. And, ooh, right there at the end, Tyler Morgan, I believe Chris Blanchard with a little bit of contact. Tommy Gossett, though, did a good job right there of getting rolled up just enough at the end to not make any contact, or at least not any further contact. As I do want to see if we can get a view here, an onboard view from Freddie Bosnez. I was watching here from the blimp view, and I think he sneaks through this relatively unscathed. Watch it from his point of view. Yeah, and that's a heck of a job right there from Freddie Bosnez. That is a tough spot to be in, trying to sneak through it. And then for Garrett Maines there, I don't know if he actually ever hits this inside wall here. It was close, but I think he may have been able to keep it off of the wall. Watch it again as he gets some contact, and the car just starts to go around. He gets turned, slides down, and yep, sure enough. So he misses the inside safer barrier. That's good news for Garrett Maines. Loops it back around. Don't think he's got too much damage, just will lose his track position. And give you one more view of this here from the turn 3 and 4 cam. And more so, let's see if we can do it from the pit lane cam. All right, so with another caution, another opportunity for drivers to pit. And again, we're still not quite in that fuel window yet. Still got a good ways to go before then, but it is still a pretty solid one-stop strategy. As it looks like, as it stands right now, we're about 13 to 14 laps away from being in that final fuel window to make it to the end. Jimmy Emos and Mark Vondell, looks like they are set to restart on the front row as the lights are going to go off on the pace car. You've got Ken McCullough Jr. and Chris Melton back in row 2. Joshua McCullough, Nash Brambilla currently sitting in row 3. Freddie Bosnez, who snuck through that last incident, in 7th with Dylan Jones, 8th. Hunter Hastings in 9th. And there he is, Tyler Vickery, up 11 spots from where he started this race at. He currently sits in that 10th position. Tyler Vickery, the driver out of Orlando, Florida. I know he's getting as much practice in these next gens in as he can to get himself ready for the PGR 500. That, of course, will be the car that will be featured throughout that entire week and that event. So a lot of drivers getting good practice through, of course, Wednesdays, and then the recruitment races that PGR has been putting up as well. And again, huge thanks to a couple of drivers that are just in this race. And I think, in fact, all of them. But, of course, you got to give a huge shout-out to James Wagner and Chris Blanchard for taking, again, the title and associate sponsor for the PGR 500 VRX simulators. I don't believe Teresa or Greg Spiker are in here right now, as I believe those are the two that would have been responsible for that one. Don't quote me on it, though. And then some of the other minor sponsorships, Ambrose Kniebel for Blind Squirrel Racing. He did have an onboard view here tonight that we were going to look at, but it looks like he has since left. So a little bit unfortunate in that aspect. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. Saw a couple chats earlier. Scott says, hello, Austin. My name is pronounced like Kazansky. Top Gun. Kazansky. The Drop the Sky. Kazan. Okay, Scott Kazan. Appreciate it, Scott. If I said it wrong then, too, please let me know. I'll correct it again. But we appreciate you giving us that correction. All right, so here we go. Going to try this again as we are now going to be restarting just 3 laps away from the halfway point in this race. Pace car going to make the left turn. And here we go. 28 of 60 laps complete as the green flag now back in the air. It's a great restart for McCullough Motorsports. Lined up 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. And for Jimmy Emos, they are going to split that 67 car probably pretty quick right here. Question is, how long do they wait? Whoa, Jimmy Emos into the outside wall as he saw those 3 McCullough Motorsports cars in front of him jump up. You can see everybody trying to bail to this inside here. A lot of people not feeling super comfortable around that 67 as he wiggles around all over the place. And Jimmy Emos there, ooh, into the outside wall right there. Man, that's a tough break. It looks like he does save it, though, so he'll have to fall the back. Man, more contact up front. Bosnez, now he's going to get split 3 wide. Bosnez in the middle after almost a block gone wrong up top. And he'll get some help here as Falkingham going to now stack up to the back bumper of him. Further back, Veliky dropped to the bottom. Watch out, you got more offset pushing going on up front. They are really stacking these cars up on the outside. And just as quickly as we had this restart, these guys are back to 3 by 3. Certainly no love lost and no real calm. No calm in the aggression, that's for sure. Oh, Ken McCullough Jr. Now he's going to get turned. Big hit into the outside wall. Caution back out. These guys are going to wreck him up again as we got more contact up front. That's Chase Mastretta. Steve Sizemore's in it. Freddie Bosnez. You saw Ken McCullough Jr. They took one of the biggest hits in all of this. Or excuse me, no, it wasn't Ken McCullough Jr. It was one of the other cars here. Saw somebody clobber the outside wall. And a couple of the R&R entries involved in this as well. As this caution will officially now take us over the halfway point. But not in the fashion that we wanted to see it happen. And so let's go back and take another look. See what happens now to bring out your 6th caution here of the night. And so this is going to be, again, going into the corner. It does start with Ken McCullough Jr. getting turned around. So let's go back and see what gets him out of shape. He was getting pushed here by his teammate, it looks like, the 05. Is it going to be some netcode from the inside? Or does he just shuffle down? Let's see. See Ken McCullough Jr. He's trying to shuffle in behind his teammate, Mark Von Dell. The problem is they're 3 wide, and it looks like from that initial look, Ken McCullough Jr., I think is just going to get down into the 60 at Bosnez. I think that's another kind of similar setup to what we saw earlier with David Sheets and Matthew Baker, where I just don't think Ken realized the 60's down there, or he's just getting a little bit of tunnel vision here trying to follow his teammate and doesn't realize that he's necessarily drifting down. And, of course, once he moves down at that point, it's on from there. Yeah, it was Freddie Bosnez who took that big hit. You saw the rear tires get up off the racetrack. Kyler Wynn was in it. And this was another pretty big incident here. And it just seems like it's been that kind of night where if you were in the back, it's going to be hard to get to the front. I want to see if I can get another good angle on this one here to show you exactly what I'm talking about. That one's not quite going to cut it. We'll go back to the chopper view again and watch one more time in slow motion. The 03 Ken McCullough Jr. 3rd up top. Just moving down, and yeah, that's just the 03 coming down until contact is eventually made, and once it is, it's on from there. Rest is history, trying to get through it. A couple drivers do. I think Matthew Baker makes it through with just a couple of bumps and bruises. But everybody else either had to bring it to a halt, as it looks like Chris Blanchard did there in the background, or unfortunately just take a couple of big hits here. And speaking of big hits, we mentioned Freddie Bosnez. Watch this view here. We'll go to the zoomed-in shot. Watch Bosnez here as trying to get through, gets turned up. Look at that thing. Rear tires up in the air. Joshua McCullough gets collected. Chris Melton had nowhere to go. And then actually, I think Cody Nagels gets involved in a bit of a secondary incident right here with his teammate as they're all trying to sneak through it. Cody, unfortunately, into Chase Mastretta there. Nothing Cody could do, but that's going to turn Mastretta up the racetrack. He takes a pretty good hit. It looked like the 27 machine just was gunning it on the bottom. I was trying to figure out exactly who that was. I mean, somebody was not lifting there. I don't know how they made it through as much as they did. I mean, usually you don't lift like this. It doesn't end too well. We'll go back here a couple spots to see if we can figure out exactly who it was. Just behind, or just in front of Sean Corbett, I should say. And looks like if we go to the chopper view here, back things up, and it looks like 27 machine again. Can't tell exactly who that is from this point of view. Got a couple new paint schemes here tonight. We're going to figure this out, though. That might be, I'm going back here to see, that might be, is that Preston Alexander? I think it is. Watch Preston here. Watch his onboard view. I don't know if he ever actually touched the brakes or let off the gas in this. Sees him wrecking. And, yeah, he never really lets off the gas until the end there, and he is very lucky that he kind of net-coded through Chase Mastretta. Otherwise, that would have been a second huge incident, kind of after some of those guys had missed the first one. Be a little bit more careful there if you're Preston Alexander of trying to get on the brakes a little earlier, but either way, catches good brake, and that one sneaks through it, and watch it from this point of view. Look how much more speed he was carrying right here. And the 27 is just rocking him through here. And so as we'll take one more look here at this before we go back up front, let's see if we can get an onboard view now here from Matthew Baker, who I thought maybe shot through this for the most part without too much contact. Let's see what it looks like from his roll bar. Looks like he gets jarred around a couple times, but again, doesn't seem all that bad, all things considered. The car doesn't look to be too damaged from it either. All right, so we are now officially over the halfway point in tonight's race. 32 of 60 laps complete here at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. And so, yeah, I mean, Baker's mom said it in the chat there. And actually, no, I take it back. It was actually Scott who said it in the chat. Says they can't have much fast pairs left. And yeah, they only had one to begin with. But I agree, Scott, in the sense of you get to the point where you're going to start to see a couple cars eliminated from this race. We're seeing a lot of damage here. With still, you know, quite a bit of laps to go. Ambrose Knievel already out of the race. Tommy Gossett's out of the race. Tyler Vickery currently sitting in the pits. And actually won a spot just behind him. Tyler Vickery out of the pits. That's Jason Maines who's sitting in the pits. You got to think his night might be done. So you've already got almost a handful of cars out of this race. I mean, I know we had 33 to start, but now that number can go down pretty quick if we continue at the pace that we're at. These guys have got to try to get some green flag laps and get an opportunity here to maybe get to that one green flag stop that still remains. Try to separate this field a little bit. But, I mean, the aggression level right now certainly doesn't show any hints that that's going to be the case. I think these guys are going to be back to 2 and 3 wide here within the course of just a lap or two with the way things have been going so far. And so, is the field now going to work their way off of turn number 4? Looks like this time when they go green, it's going to officially be 28 laps to go here at Daytona, closing in on that magical 25 mark, where as a driver you start to feel like the intensity's ramping up. And this time it'll be Hunter Hastings who gets to see the green flag first. He gets a jump. And will he have enough to get clear here? The 92 of John Ward. Yes, he will. Hunter Hastings quickly going to work right to the high side of the racetrack. And again, that 9 machine has looked very good so far here tonight. Chris Blanchard on the bottom trying to line up here with Matt Lee. They've got some help out back from Garrett Maines as well. Which line will get rolling first? John Ward tandemed up now with the 9 machine of Hunter Hastings, but it's really going to be important of who's able to stay connected here down the super stretch. And it looks like it's a 2 versus 3 car tandem. The bottom has 3, and you can see that momentum really starting to roll now. John Ward going to have to stick to the back bumper of Hunter Hastings and hope that it works for now. Chris Blanchard, him and Matt Lee still tandem, and there it is. John Ward finally got broken up with Hunter Hastings. Matt Lee was able to stay connected, and they will tandem right to the front of this field. Matt Lee is not ready to be done yet. He is continuing to push Blanchard, and these two are flying. They got over 200 miles an hour as they are now trying to pull away from this group. But of course, Daytona, the great equalizer with the draft, they won't be able to go anywhere as they're going to get tracked back down. And now it's a tough spot. They might need to jump up here. Matt Lee's going to work up. Blanchard will as well. Hastings has to check up. That stacks up Ward and the rest of the pack on back. Now they're going to wreck again. Trouble is it looks like one went around. Did they save it? Caution's out. Looking for exactly what it was for here. Mark Fondell and a couple others did get off the racetrack, but I don't think that anybody actually ended up wrecking here. And so another caution now. Things continue to be messy here tonight. Let's go back and look at it here from the cockpit view. Actually, before we go to that view, I think we should probably start with the aerial shot here first and see, again, what I think this one was caused by that stack up that all started up front when Matt Lee and Chris Blanchard had to make that move to the top, which, you know, again, part of that is that's the risk you run. When you get that far out in front here at Daytona, the pack's going to catch you. When they get there, they've got such a run that it's just, the front couple guys are okay, but right here, look as it starts to translate out back. Nagels has to check up. Now the 30 of Wagner's checking up. He gets into the wall. And then as Larry McDonald tries to check up, he gets hit in the back, it looks like. And that was eventually all it took. I was trying to see who he got hit by. And we'll go ahead and change the camera just a little bit here. And see if we can go back to Larry McDonald and see exactly who that was that tags him in the back. Yeah, Wagner just in front. And then I think he gets hit by the 41 machine of Dalton Steele. Yep, sure enough. And that gets him down into the 82 of Kyler Wynn. But watch this. Larry's going to get back up the racetrack. Right here is when I thought these guys were for sure wrecking. They go in. Larry McDonald runs into the 41. Dalton Steele goes into the outside wall, but that almost straightens them both back out. And so that almost straightens both of these guys back out. And as it does so, looks like Dalton Steele may have some suspension damage in that race car with the way it's kind of wobbling around right there. We'll have to see here. We go back live, in fact, looks like he's taking it to the pits now. I'm getting some reports of, and that would explain if he had any suspension damage, although I don't see that wheel necessarily too far off from what it normally would be here. Watch it from the right rear and the right front. Definitely a lot of aero damage, but again, maybe not too much suspension. And so let's go back and see here. Again, it's It's a checkup. I mean, that's what it is, right? Nobody's really doing anything wrong. I mean, Lee and, Hunter Hastings, they jump up in plenty of time. But unfortunately, it's just that causes a stack up. And when it gets back here, it's just not everybody can account for it at that point. There's Larry getting turned around and getting an Dalton steal. And then you saw everybody have to fan out here to miss it. But it looks like most everybody did. And that was kind of the big break of this. Mark Von Dell and a couple others had to go really, really low. About halfway down, below the apron, down the super stretch to miss it. But they all keep it together. So as we go back live now and back towards the front of the field, looks like it is Chris Blanchard being scored as your leader. Garrett Main second, with Matt Lee third, Nash Brambilla fourth, and Hunter Hastings currently rounding out the top 5. So 25 laps to go. It'll be 24 when they cross the line this time. We'll set ourselves up for the next restart. But in the meantime, we're going to take another quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us here at Daytona.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got
The monkey is prime!
this season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where we are getting ready for yet another restart within 25 laps to go here for tonight's action in the Madness Money Racing Series from Roughneck Racing, presented by Roughneck Racing and of course James Wagner's Welding. So here we go. It's going to be officially 23 laps to go. Still a green flag pit stop in the works. If we can make it to that point, it's close on fuel with 23 to go. I think they can make it at least 20. So we'll go ahead and say it's kind of a question mark for now. But if we get another caution, I think they will definitely be good to make it to the end if they pit again. All right, here we go. 23 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. And it's a good restart for both cars. 2 rows deep, both the inside and the outside line. Chris Blanchard on the inside. Can him and Matt Lee get lined up? You saw what Matt Lee and Hunter Hastings were able to do on that inside during that last run. We'll see if Matt Lee can do a little bit of the same magic here for Chris Blanchard. Meanwhile, up top, we've got Garrett Mains and Nash Brambilla. There it is. There's that big push from Matt Lee. He's going to get himself and Blanchard clear. They might pull Hunter Hastings as well. They've got to jump up, though, if they want it. Hunter Hastings trying to beat him to the punch. It looks like he will for now. Still 2x2. Here comes a third lane. Look into the middle. Cody Nagels. He's got a little bit of help right now from Nathan Harper. That third lane's going to need a little bit more, though. Here we go. Landon Bellicke looking up. How about Tyler Morgan inside the top 10? Where will he go here? Matthew Baker now going to go to the high side. Hunter Hastings, a little bit of a late move right there. He may have nose chopped Garrett Mains a little bit. And they all still keep it together, though, so they're okay for now. And man, oh man, right now, 22 laps to go. This is the point where you got to make that decision. Do you think they're going to wreck again? If so, get to the front, get aggressive. If you think somehow this thing's going to go green the rest of the way, then you got to start saving fuel. I think I'd be going with the first option and being aggressive because I don't think we're done wrecking just yet. Look at this out back. 3x3. Landon Veliky leading a middle line. He's got Kyler Wynn and then a couple of Nightmare Esports teammates and Cody Nagels and Daniel Falkingham behind him. Meanwhile, the 05 and the 31, Tyler Vickery, Joshua McCullough, both now breaking inside the top 10, running on the high side for now. Joshua McCullough, though, looking like he may be considering a move to the middle. Veliky's going to beat him to the punch. Now Veliky's going to get turned. Veliky back into the outside wall. Caution out. And they will continue to wreck here as they come out of the tri-oval. Veliky trying to lock it down. Looks like he's going to go into the inside wall. Dalton Steele gets collected along with the rest of the R&R drivers. Steve Sizemore was involved. 41 of Dalton Steele going to try to loop it around and see if he can keep going here. And it looks like he will. 21 laps to go, and the trend just continues. It's been a rough night for these guys. There's no shame in saying it. And it continues. I just don't know what's going on here tonight. It's weird how some races we can see with this car go pretty good. And then you get ones like tonight where you just wonder, I mean, is there anything that can go right? And here we go. Veliky's got to run with Kyler. He's going to shoot to the middle. And then what happens here is he's going by the 59 of Von Dell. Looks like Mark Von Dell just gets up into him. And on that one, I don't think that it's, Mark Von Dell necessarily thinking that he's clear. I don't think it's any of that. I just think he drifts up. Now, what causes him to drift up? I don't know if it's just he's following so close in line, he gets loose. I just don't know, but you see here from the onboard view for Mark Von Dell, goes to give a push to Nash Brambilla, and then it's almost like when he pushes him, his car starts to get out of shape, and as it does so here, watch this. Starts to get a little bit out of shape, and right there he goes up and gets into Veliky, and once that happens, wrecks on from there. Now, unless I missed something, I don't think Mark was getting any push from out back. No, he wasn't. Car just drifts up on him, and he gets right in to the 62 of Veliky, who's an innocent bystander here. That's going to get Veliky turned back towards Brian Hennings. Brian Hennings gets pinched in the outside wall. Vickery, a little bit of contact. He might be okay. Same deal for Joshua McCullough as the rest try to sneak through it, but it was really Landon Veliky here. I think gets the brunt of this one. And then a kind of a secondary pile-up, which we'll look at here in just a moment. Watch it again. This time we'll go to a bit of a different angle from TV3. And right there's the initial contact. That sparks it. At this point, Veliky looks like his suspension's broke as well. And he's going to take another shot here off the inside wall, I think. Yeah, just a little scrape. 66. Tyler Morgan eventually able to come to a halt as well. David Sheets, another one of the McCullough Motorsports teammates. Unlucky in this one here as it looks like he got collected as part of that secondary incident. Let's go show you exactly what happened in this one right here. And watch. You can see it kind of happening. And I don't know what gets these guys collected as part of the wreck. I thought they would have had enough time to see it. Maybe not. That happens pretty quick in front of you. And yeah, not quite enough time. And then they just kind of all stack up. Harper gets together and they both slide right back up on a racetrack. And that's what ultimately gets David Sheet and a couple of others here involved as they try to roll on from there. But at that point, damage was done. James Wagner involved in that as well. And so another caution here will set us up for another restart, an even later race restart, I should add. And so if we look at it again here, a little bit of a different view. This was the zoomed-in shot, but I do want to go back to the contact here for Landon Veliky. Take one more look at this here from a bit of a zoomed-in angle. And watch it again. Look at Mark Von Dell in the 59, just working up the racetrack, and once he makes contact with... And I'll tell you what, if that happens a little sooner, these guys might get away with it if Mark hits him far enough up on the car, if that makes sense. But it's that he's hitting him too far to the rear. And again, I mean, it's just drifting up. But, I mean, the point I'm making is it's just been that kind of night. I mean, if there was any chance that when Mark drifted up there, he was going to hit Landon in a spot where it wouldn't get that 62 car turned around, certainly wasn't going to be tonight. Not with the way things have been going for everybody. And then Veliky here... Even though, I mean, he's got a couple things here. Obviously major damage, but also going to lose all his track position. He's going to have a lot of work to do here if he wants any chance to try to get back to the front of the field, especially with what's going to be just 18 laps to go in this race. Cody Nagels leads the way. Daniel Falkingham second. John Ward currently third. Ken McCullough Jr. in fourth. And Jimmy Emos currently rounding out your top five. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. And if you've been watching, we appreciate you sticking around. did again want to announce, you'll probably hear myself along with a couple of the other guys mention it a couple times here over the next couple weeks, as again, it's new, and we just want to make sure that everybody does know about it. PGR recently hitting 500 subs, so we are now a YouTube partner, and as part of that, we now have Super Chats. So if you ever want to send us $1 or any sort of donation known as a Super Chat, you can simply press that little $ icon. Richard Elliott sent us the first one earlier today, and so I did just want to mention that. And again, big thank you to Richard Elliott for the $10 Super Chat that you sent earlier. All right. 18 laps to go, and normally this is where you're getting excited. You feel like this is kind of close to the end, but I don't necessarily think we're at that point yet. I think these guys still have a couple more cautions, and you can do the math. I mean, this is a 60-lap race. We've only done 40 laps so far. 8 cautions. That's a pretty high number. So we'll have to see if things continue this way. But either way, for Cody Nagels, Daniel Falkingham, to the Nightmare Esports teammates, they got to start to feel like they're in pretty good position here. And don't forget that now we are inside that fuel window, so pit stops should, in theory here, be out of the question, at least to the end of regulation. Now, if we have to go into overtimes, that could change some things up. But for now, everybody should be good to go on fuel for the remainder of this race. All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. 18 laps to go here at Daytona. And it's a good restart for the 6 of Cody Nagels. He gets a big enough of a jump, and he quickly jumps right up to the top of the racetrack to pick up a push from his teammates. Daniel Falkingham, you see the 03 machine. Ken McCullough Jr. third, and here comes the one of Jason Maines, who, surprised to see, was able to make it back out on the racetrack. And so, even though Jason Maines is back out on the racetrack, should mention that he is, well, I thought he was multiple laps down, but it appears he's not. Jason is actually back on the lead lap. How about that for the 1 machine? What a comeback right now for Jason Maines. John Ward currently sits behind him, a little bit of single file action, but it's not going to last for too long. Back to the bottom of the racetrack here goes Garrett Maines, Matt Lee, and Matthew Baker. They're going to pick up one more. It's the 74 machine of Brian Henning. So 4 on the bottom versus pretty much the rest of the field up top. Blanchard now going to drop down as well. And how about Jimmy Emos in the 67, running right around that 10th position right now. We're going to see if he can get a season best finish here tonight. And so as they start to single file out a little bit further back, still 2x2 up front. No third lane though yet. As you also notice, this lead pack looking pretty broken up right now. But as those gaps start to close up, you're going to see a couple guys get a couple of big runs. And as they get those big runs, that's going to allow some big moves to be made. But right now, everybody's still looking comfortable up front. Cody Nagels, will he make the jump back down to the bottom? Not yet. Looks like he's going to stay up top for now. Still working with his teammate Daniel Falkingham. On the bottom, here comes Garrett Maines. Garrett Maines going to see if he can go to the point with just 16 laps to go, and sure enough, he will. Matt Lee doing the pushing. He's got help from John Ward. And all this stacking up on the inside right here is going to help that outside get a chance to cool. Kind of try to regroup as you see a third lane trying to form. That's Nathan Harper and Freddie Bosnez trying to make something happen. And it won't happen just yet. Not right now, but they're trying to split a couple guys up top. Cody Nagels still trying to give his teammates some fresh air. And boy, you saw Falkingham jump out right there. That was just him trying to get a little bit of clean air on the nose of that 48 machine. So for Garrett Maines, who currently runs on the bottom of the racetrack here, at some point he's going to have to hope that Matt Lee can cool off and give him another shove to the front. Otherwise, this inside might start to stall out a bit. And so just 15 laps to go. One on the wall up top right there. Ooh, think they're going to save it. No, they're not. Trouble. The 49 of Chris Melton around. Oh, they're going to wreck again up front. That was Brian Hennings. It went around. Brian Hennings in the 74. He's going to save it. That'll contain the trouble to further back. And another really, really close call right there. It does bring out the caution, but I don't know if anybody got any major damage from it. Let's go back and look at it. 9th caution of the night here. We'll see where it starts. And I thought this one started. We may be a little bit too far up here. Let's see. It's going to be right around the 41 of Dalton Steele. That's where it first started at. So here we go. We're going to try to find Dalton Steele here and back this up for you again. All right, so here we go. We'll back this up a little bit. And is there going to be a bit of a stack up? It certainly looks like there may have been. And so watch, you see the inside, and excuse me, that was the last caution. But Dalton Steele was still right around where this accident started. And so you see Dalton Steele on the top of the racetrack at this point. Or excuse me, that's Steve Sizemore rather. that's in the outside wall at this point. So we'll go back to Steve Sizemore here instead. And so Sizemore, I don't know if he's trying to split his teammate or if there's a checkup. Either way, watch as Sizemore goes to the outside, gets into the outside wall. And then what happens after this? They check up a little bit, as it looks like that's the 41 machine of Dalton Steele, who checks up maybe just a little bit. Not really sure exactly why, unless it was just... Yeah, it may have just been... Let's see here. All right, so here we go. You see the 41 machine, Dalton Steele. There's a brief checkup. Veliky gets into his left rear, sends Steele up the track a little bit, but then Veliky gets hit by Chase Mastretta, gets chased a little bit out of shape. He gets tagged by Von Dell. Eventually, though, Chase, I think kind of already a bit out of shape, just gets down into the 49 and Melton. That gets him up into his teammate. And from there, those two tag the outside wall pretty hard. Looks like the only two cars involved. Boy, nice job right there by Tyler Vickery. I don't know how he stayed out of those two, as they were wrecking right in front of him. And then Brian Hennings had a separate incident. We'll go and look at that here in just a moment. But I do want to show you this one more time. And watch it again. Actually, before I show you this view, let's go to the onboard view here for Dalton Steele. I want to see if he does indeed check up. I believe he does. But I'm more so curious as to exactly if it was just for something out in front or if it was for his teammate or exactly how bad the checkup was. Take a listen. Yeah. Yeah, you can see the stack up in front of him. Definitely a fair checkup on his part, but then just out back doesn't translate very well. That chain reaction gets back to around Chase Mastretta, who again runs into Veliky here. Pretty significant, enough to where it actually gets his car out of shape. And Von Dell does make slight contact, but I kind of think at that point that was going to pretty much... I think he was still going to get down into the 49. I don't think the contact from Von Dell necessarily causes that issue. I think Chase was pretty much going to get into the 49 anyway, as he's trying to save it. But then, of course, once he ultimately gets into Chris Melton here, and that sends Chris back up the racetrack, nothing he can do. And again, pretty hard hit, both of these race cars. And then there's Tyler Vickery just sneaking through the gap, waiting for the C's to part. Does a nice job in the process. All right, so here we go. Let's get a bit of a different angle on this one. About the pit lane view. And bam, there's a couple of big hits. You saw briefly there, and I do want to give you one more angle from a bit of a unique perspective. This is the spectator cam. And again, watch this. 49 slides up, and then that separate issue with Brian Hennings up front. I don't know if you caught it right there. We'll show you this one time as he saved it. So it's not a big deal in this case for Brian. But again, a heck of a save it was, because watch how sideways this car gets. Something gets him turned out of shape. Maybe the 5 of Joshua McCullough. And man, he wheels and deals that thing. Straightens it right back out. And looks like he's good to go after that. So a nice job right there by Brian Hennings. And I did want to get one more look here, of course, from the onboard view of Tyler Vickery as we saw it from some of the TV cams. Now watch it from the onboard view as he's going to miss this one for the most part. Maybe slight contact, though. Let's see. Sees it kind of unfold out in front. And some slight contact with the outside wall, but it looks like that's about it. So again, a really nice job right there by Tyler Vickery to not make it any worse than what it already was. All right, and so let's go back live now. Cody Nagels leads the way. Daniel Falkingham second. Kevin McCullough Jr. third. Matthew Baker fourth. And Garrett Maines fifth. By the way, while we were under green, J.R. Miller in the chat dropping a $9.99 super chat. J.R. says, hey, Austin, I'll match Richard Elliott. And there we go. Well, we appreciate it, J.R. Again, apologize for taking a couple minutes to get around to it. It was very chaotic there for a moment, but we appreciate you tuning in, J.R. And, of course, we really appreciate you sending us that 10. Certainly helps out. All right. So now we'll go green with 11 laps to go. And so still good to go on fuel. No issues there. And at this point, again, 9 cautions to date in what has been not even 50 laps yet. So we'll see here. Maybe we can end this thing out green. I'm not sure with the way it's looking right now. Either way, though, with 11 laps to go, I think at this point it's kind of all bets are off. And, it feels like it's been that way kind of all night. But I think it feels a little bit more like that right now, knowing what's on the line. I mean, big payouts tonight. And, of course, more importantly, the points battle, which is going to be going on for the next 8 races. Total 9 races, but we're doing the first one here tonight. So 9 races after this to kind of sort out that points battle. And, of course, that will be a $1,500 top 3 payout at the end. And if these are official, which I believe it is, with all the sponsorship money tallied up, $550 to the first place winner in the points total at the end of the 9-race stretch, $350 to second, $250 to third, $200 to fourth, and $150 to fifth. And then, of course, the regular race payouts, which apply here tonight, and every race in between. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. 11 laps to go here at Daytona. And it's a good restart for the 6th machine of Cody Nagels. He'll get a jump and jump right up to the high side of the racetrack in front of his teammate Daniel Falkingham. Meanwhile, on the bottom, you've got Ken McCullough Jr. and Garrett Maines working together. And that duo not going to last for long as Garrett quickly jumps up to the top of the racetrack. That's going to leave Ken McCullough Jr. all by himself. Maybe not for long, though. John Ward now going to look to the bottom here. Can he pick up the 0-3 down the super stretch? Yes, he can. You see a little bit of wiggling out back. Jimmy Emos going to split one and leave him out. Tyler Vickery, whoa. Big check up there further back. That was just right around, and actually just in front of Tyler Vickery. Was that Chase Mastretta who jumped up to the top of the racetrack? It was. That causes a stack up. And that outside has pretty much died, at least for the moment. And it is all single file up front as we are now coming to 10 laps to go here at Daytona. You see Nagels and Falkingham. Seems like they figured a little something out with keeping temps cool for that 48 machine. Cody ducks a little bit low down the straights, sometimes in the corner as well. Gives Falkingham a chance to make sure he keeps the water and oil temps cool and set up for the pushing that he's going to have to do at the end of this race. Just as I was getting ready to mention him, Matthew Baker has made his way back to the front after all the trouble early and all the chaos after. He has been able to settle in, hang strong, and here he is at the end. Now going to go back to the point. The driver out of Magnolia, Texas, looking to see if he can win himself an R&R race here tonight. He'll go back to the top. Nagels will give him a push. Still 2x2. Freddie Bosnez has also recovered after blowing the motor early on in the race. He got the push right there from Hunter Hastings. Hunter Hastings, boy, he has been making a name for himself here tonight with the push-in that he's been able to give to some of these drivers and getting them to the front. As you see Matthew Baker and Bosnez now trying to tandem away from the pack just a little bit. By the way, we are now officially in single digits here for laps remaining in this race. See the 62 of Eliki and the 05 of Joshua McCullough a little bit further back. Thought maybe they'd split 3 wide to the outside, but instead it's going to be Jason Maines and Matt Lee that go to the middle. Brian Hennings follows, now goes all the way up top. And here comes Kyler Wynn and Garrett Maines. They'll go to the middle now as well. Matt Lee bails to the top. So 3x3 is, whoa, man, Garrett gave a huge shot right there to Jason. That got him out of shape. Ward trying to cover up top, but not quite going to be able to do it. Matt Lee was there, and now he does let Ward slide in. So these guys are going to have to organize pretty quickly. Running out of laps now, just 8 to go. And up front, leading the way now is the 60 of Freddie Bosnez. But here goes Falkingham and Nagels back to the inside. Matthew Baker going to try to jump down and see if he can drag him back with a side draft here. Bosnez going to have to be careful. He may have got split. He did. Watch out back, though. You saw sparks flying. A couple cars with some contact. And they are 3 wide. They almost got 4 wide again there. Further back down the super stretch, Jason Maines looking for some real estate to work with. Garrett able to jump up in front of Tyler Vickery. Jason Maines going to do the same, so they'll sort it back out to 2x2 there. Joshua McCullough going to jump up, and all of a sudden now it's the inside line that has pretty much lost all of its momentum yet again. As they now hit 7 laps to go, Cody Nagels and John Ward going to link up. This is another very strong duo when they get together. But how about a couple of the R&R entries? What can they do? I know it's getting late in the race, but if you have a teammate, now's the time to hook up with them and try to go to the front. Whoa, man, one out of shape. That was Bosnez off the front bumper of Dalton Steele. That was another big save from the 60 machine of Freddie Bosnez. Now we see Kyler Wynn in the 82 factory setups Chevy. He'll go to the bottom of the racetrack. Look like the 41 of Dalton Steele looking for a side draft. Matt Lee sees the run. He likes what he sees. Now he jumps to the bottom, looking for a big side draft. No chance. Big run is now caution out. Trouble further back again. This time it's Jimmy Emos, Hunter Hastings, and Ken McCullough Jr. The 3 cars that get involved in this one. The 9 of Hunter Hastings trying to get it looped back around in the right direction. Ken McCullough Jr. immediately taking it down to the pits for repairs. And let's go back and see what causes this one here. See, there's a bit of a stack up that's starting to form up front. Ken McCullough Jr. is going to arrive on the scene. The stack up's got to decide where to go. Tries to shoot to the middle. And actually, it looks like he's okay. Do we have a separate incident up front there with Brian Hennings? We almost did. Joshua McCullough almost gets Brian Hennings turned around, but that wasn't the incident that actually occurred. Instead, it ends up being this right here as you see Hunter Hastings into the back of Dalton Steele. Ken McCullough Jr. trying to jump low here. Jason Maines maybe taps him, and then looks like Ken McCullough Jr. is going to get into Hunter Hastings here. Let's get a bit of a different aerial view of this. And watch Ken McCullough Jr. Does he get into the 9 here? Now, I will say it does look like the 9 of Hunter Hastings starts to come back down the racetrack after getting out of the pipes here. Or, excuse me, I guess after seeing fire out of the pipes. Meaning that he did get out of the throttle, and you see Ken go down. I don't think Ken's coming up. No, he definitely isn't. If anything, from that view, you can actually see Ken's still moving down at the time of contact. So it's definitely Hunter Hastings moving down after Ken went down there to try to miss the big checkup. Watch the 03. Watch his left side tires in comparison to that seam. They keep going further and further to the left. So he's not going up. Right here, he's under the 9. And then Hunter Hastings, as he moves down just a little bit, slight contact between those two. Gets him around, and it's on from there. You see the 9 back hard into the outside wall. Ken McCullough Jr. with a big hit as well. The whole front hood of Hunter Hastings' car flies off, and then Jimmy Emos right here wheeling and dealing. And he's actually doing a pretty good job saving that race car before he's eventually going to get turned back up the racetrack here. Does he hit the outside wall? Yeah, he does, and that's another pretty big hit right there for Jimmy Emos. So let's give you a couple different angles of this one here. How about first from the zoomed in view here? This is again Hunter Hastings. Man, you can see when Ken McCullough Jr. backed into it. I mean, it just ripped that car to pieces. Look at the rear suspension bouncing all around. The front hood flew off. And Ken McCullough Jr. running into him there again. There's the hit for Jimmy Emos. So we'll take another look at this here from the turn 3 and 4 cam. All right. So as now we will wrap ourselves up with the 10th caution here of the night. 5 laps to go. Looks like it'll be 3 to go when they grab the restart. And now you have Matt Lee up front leading the way. He's up 32 positions from where he started this race at. Kyler Wynn 2nd, Matthew Baker 3rd, and Nathan Harper 4th. John Ward currently rounding out the top 5. So if they go green with 3 to go, which is what, again, it's looking like, and that will be a natural green-white checkered +1. Which, again, not really too much time to make things happen. We'll have to see how these guys all decide to go about it. And I'll tell you what, Brian Hennings has been having a heck of a night so far. Let's see if we can bring him up here and see how he's feeling, as he's going to be restarting here inside the top 10. Hey, Brian, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, sir?
Well, man, we have been watching you tonight. You have been having a heck of a night so far. You've had a couple of big saves. You've been aggressive. You've been up front. How have you felt about the race so far, and what's going to be the strategy here to try to go out there and win this thing?
Survive, basically. Still have my fast repair in the pocket, so that's a positive, but I don't know, it's just go with the flows, man, with the runs, and try and put your car in the right spot and hope that it works out. What the heck is going on? Oh, my gosh. Well, that's another 4X, so I'm up to 22 now, so yeah, that kind of is a... that's how the race has been.
Yeah, that about sums it up. Well, you didn't get any damage on the rear end, at least not from that. So, hey, we appreciate you talking to us, Brian. We'll let you go get ready. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And yeah, I think, Brian, that pretty much does sum up the race right there. I mean, these guys at this point, of course, reckon under caution. I mean, what else do you really say at some point? It's been that kind of night, and 3 laps to go. If we had 2 to go, I'd say there's a good shot that we make it to the white flag. 3 to go, I don't know. It's a tough call with the way things have been going here tonight. But again, they're going to have to make it at least 2 laps to take the white flag for this race to be official. Otherwise, we will rack them up and try it again. And I believe these guys have a total of 3 green-white checkers. Well, I don't see any drivers coasting on the apron or really working hard to save fuel. So everybody feeling, at least assumably, feeling pretty confident in their fuel mileage here to the finish. All right. So as it stands, again, up front, Matt Lee, Kyler Wynn, 2 of the most aggressive drivers in the series looking for a win. Matthew Baker looking to complete the comeback. Nathan Harper, always a threat to steal it. The 92 of John Ward, Cody Nagels, what can they do? And, of course, Brian Hennings in a 74. Can he make something happen here? Landon Velicki, Joshua McCullough, Daniel Falkingham, every driver that I just named in the top 10 has a shot at it here. And we're all getting ready to see how it is going to pan out. All right, here we go. Pace car going to make that left turn down to the pits. Matt Lee, Kyler Wynn will roll back into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. 3 laps to go at the World Center of Racing, and it's a good restart for the 04 of Matt Lee. Him and Matthew Baker get off to a great push. And it looked like Matt Lee with a bit of a wiggle there on the apron, but was still able to jump up and cover in time. They start stacking up out back, but there's enough of a gap for them to all account for it. And this is where everybody's going to start setting up their moves now. 3 laps to go is a little bit more awkward than 2 to go, because you're not going to have temps to push as hard as you can for all 3 laps. You're going to have to save a little bit somewhere if you're one of these lead pushers, or you're going to have to try to make that move now. You see a little bit of 3 wide there further back in the pack. Looks like that might be the 23 of Brambilla trying to go to the front. Kyler Wynn now back to the bottom. They've got a 4-car tandem stacked up. Baker trying to drag Lee down for a side draft. It won't matter. The inside going to push through it. Whoa! Kyler Wynn out of shape. They're going to wreck. More trouble. Matthew Baker, John Ward, Kyler Wynn. They're going to wreck him up big time here in the trial. Oh, Tyler Vickery gets collected at the back end of it. They are still wrecking. Oh, another big hit. David Sheets. Kyler Wynn still bouncing off of cars in the wall. Cody Negles is in it. Dylan Jones. I think Dalton Steele's got damage. th caution of the night. And boy, for a split second, I thought that was getting ready to be one of the greatest saves that I have ever witnessed in broadcasting from Kyler Wynn, but just not able to hold on. Now, what got him out of shape initially, that's going to be what we'll go back and take a look at. But again, just more chaos. Taking out drivers who have worked so hard just to get up here. And the way it's been going, I mean, I just don't even know what to say at this point. We like to keep things professional up here in the booth, but man, these guys certainly making it tough here at the end of this one tonight. Let's go back and watch it here and see what causes this one here. It's going to be coming off turn 4. And watch from the chopper view, John Ward pushing the back bumper here of Kyler Wynn. As they come off the corner, John gets offset to the right. And right at the same time, he gets pushed from Veliky. So if John was trying to recenter him or let off, I'm not sure. I think the best way to start with this here is going to be, let's go to the onboard view for John Ward and listen to his throttle first. I want to know if he lets off at all. And then we'll go see what happens here kind of from, again, the different TV views. But here we go. Let's take a listen here. Yeah, it doesn't sound like if he's lifting, boy, it certainly isn't much. And, you know, we talk about how aggressive you can push in these cars. There is still exception. And one of those exceptions is going to be if you try to push the guy coming out of the corner, you have got to be square. If you're not square, it's going to make it tough. And what makes this kind of almost even worse is the fact that, again, right as Ward's already offset pushing Kyler on exit of the corner, he gets a shot here from Veliky as well, which shoves him even harder into Kyler. And once that happens here, you're going to see it just on the right side of the 82 right here. Hooks Kyler around. And right here, I thought Kyler was going to save it. See, looks like initially saves it right there, but then starts coming back down the racetrack. And at that point, John Ward and Matthew Baker had already got collected with each other. And how did these two get collected? Ooh, Matthew Baker sees it, so he's going to go to dive down here. Gets into John Ward, and then those two can't get hooked together, but I don't think it would have mattered anyway, because once Kyler Wynn comes back down the racetrack, it's on, and here we go. Let's watch the cars that get collected in this. Back down to the bottom of the racetrack goes Kyler Wynn, and they just start piling them up from there. Big hit for David Sheets on that inside concrete wall before it transitions to safer barrier. And so let's go take another view here, this time from TV3. Richard Elliott says in the chat, Superman steering didn't work out that time. And yeah, the 210, I'll tell you what, it was close, but didn't quite work out. You got me with that one, Richard. I'll tell you what, though. Still, I want to see, we saw a secondary portion of this right kind of in the back that I was trying to see here. Let's slow it down again and see exactly where that translates to. You see Brian Hennings here. Does he miss it? It's close. Boy, Hennings is doing everything he can to stay off it. Oh, gets walled right there, though, by Joshua McCullough. Man, that breaks the suspension there initially for Brian Hennings. He still might have saved it, and then right there for Tyler Vickery. There's that big hit where he gets crunched kind of on the outside wall there by Kyler Wynn, who's still trying to drive out of it at this point. It's a tough call. Definitely could argue that I saw some drivers there where at some point I think you just got to lock it down. I mean, there's a point where you're not really driving the car anymore. It doesn't matter how much you think you are. You're wrecked. Just lock the brakes and minimize it. Let other people dodge you instead of trying to figure out how to dodge a moving barricade. But see, a lot of these guys just continue to try to fight and drive around and drive out of it, and they just keep getting into more and more cars in the process. And for David Sheets there, he was going to get through it, and unfortunately got collected. I mean, Kyler Wynn, he collected all sorts of cars in this one. He probably tagged about 4 or 5 different cars. And Dylan Jones right here slides up. That's just a tough one all around for everybody. Kyler up front leading with a good opportunity there, but it just doesn't quite work out for himself. And again, doesn't work out for a lot of others either. Here's what it looked like. One more view from the pit lane cam. And here we go. All right, so as we go back live now, go back up front. Lights are off on the pace car. Means we're getting ready to get back to green flag racing. And it is going to be our first attempt at a green-white checkered. So we got to make it to the white flag again for the race to be official. If not, we will rack them up and try it again. And again, I want to say for the final time tonight, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. And if you've been sticking around, we appreciate you being here. You're watching Madness Money Racing here on PGR eSports. Here we go. Can we clean things up here and finish it in just one green-white checkered? We're getting ready to find out. Here we go. Field going to work back up into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. We are back underway at Daytona. 2 laps to go. And a good restart here for Matthew Baker in the 5, who I thought, after being in that last wreck, would not stay out, but it looks like he has. Does have a little bit of damage. We'll see if guys are okay with working with him here. And it looks like for now, everybody's still staying strong on the high side. The bottom, though, starting to get formed up now. Nathan Harper has locked on to the back bumper of Matthew Baker, but up top, it's all Landon Velicky right now. Now the bottom will stack up, and here we go. Matthew Baker starting to make a run back towards the front. And I should note, it is 2 Nightmare Esports teammates up top. Landon Velicky and Falkingham were in this same spot on the final lap of the heat. Now Matt Lee's going to get turned. You thought they would make it? No chance. They're going to wreck him up again. This time it's the 41 of Dalton Steele and Matt Lee. Matt Lee with the front end of that race car destroyed. And he's going to go ahead and just tag the inside wall. Why not? 41 of Dalton Steele. Trying to get things back pointed in the right direction. Looks like he's got some suspension damage potentially as well. Yeah, you can see that steering wheel offset to the right. We got pieces of quarter panels flying everywhere. All right, let's go back and take a look at it. 12th caution of the night. How many can we get? All right, let's see. Going back here, we'll go first to the chopper view. See exactly what all goes wrong right here. See the 05 of Joshua McCullough trying to sneak to the outside of Freddie Bosnez. Bosnez is able to cover. Matt Lee jumps up to try to cover. It looks like Lee kind of overshoots it a little bit. And when Lee overshoots, and watch this again. So watch Freddie Bosnez's line and watch Matt Lee. Bosnez is just a little bit above that white line. Now, it does look like Bosnez moves down a little bit, but when Lee shoots up, he kind of overshoots the line that Bosnez ends up running here. Now, if that was because Bosnez goes down to cover, I'm not sure, but either way, that sets him up to be offset by the time that Bosnez gets there to push. And so when he gets to him, he's offset left, and as soon as he bumps him, it just immediately turns that 04 car down the racetrack. He gets into the 41 machine of Dalton Steele. That takes them both back up the racetrack, and there's the big hit. Huge hit. Matt Lee, rear tires off the ground, the 41 hard into the wall as well. Cody Nagels actually slides up into this. I didn't even see that. Man, that car almost ramps up and over. You see the 45 of Sean Corbett out of shape trying to save it. He eventually is able to gather it back up. The other 2 R&R teammates collect each other. And let's see. We'll go look at that in just a second. But let's see. Watch this again here. Watch the zoomed in view. This is Dalton Steele. As you see the 04 Matt Lee right here as he gets down. Gets into the 41. And then watch as they shoot up the racetrack again. Big hit right here for both cars. Hard into the outside fence. Freddie Bosnez Looks like he took a pretty significant amount of damage as well. And then we talked about the other two R&R cars, James Wagner, and looks like that might be Steve Sizemore, collecting each other right here as Wagner's trying to save it. And it just loops around on him at the same time. Sizemore coming up, so they get collected. And that's going to turn Sizemore hard into the outside wall. He's going to break his left front suspension. James Wagner goes hard into the wall as well. For Steve Sizemore here, looks like he goes down the track and actually collects Nashper and Bill on the process, who probably thought he was through it at this point. And in fact, I want to go on board here with Nashper and Bill and see what he saw, not only of the wreck, but then, of course, unfortunately getting involved after the fact. So here we go. Take a look at it. So he sees the wreck, does a great job going low to miss this here. I mean, he gets some contact, but again, look at this. I mean, a heck of a save. Thinks he's okay at this point, and then bam. In the right front. Gets rocked, and it's on from there. All right, back up front we go. 3 laps to go. It'll be 2 laps to go here when they cross the line this time. I don't know if they'll go back green this lap. No, they're going to go at least one more because the lights are still on the pace car. And so 12 cautions for a 60-lap race. So far, we are into overtimes now. We'll see if we can wrap it up here in overtime attempt number 2. If not, we'll have one more shot at it as Matthew Baker now being scored as your leader, staying out with that damage. And you know what? I don't blame him at this point. I think even if I had damage, I'd stay out at the front at this rate. With the way things are going, you feel like that might be your best shot. So him and Veliky will line up here in the front row. And then you've got Nathan Harper, Daniel Falkingham in row 2. Brian Headings, Chris Melton back in row 3. Joshua McCullough, Freddie Bosnez in row 4. With Garrett Maines and Chris Blanchard rounding out your top 10. Kyler Wynn, by the way, back in the mix. So that answers the question of if he had a fast pair. And the answer is yes, he did. Both himself and Tyler Vickery close to breaking back inside the top 10. So it looks like, and again, they'll grab the restart here. It'll only be 2 laps to go. Same rules as the first green-white checker. Got to make it to the white flag. Otherwise, we'll rack them up and try it again. But if you look a little bit further back, I mean, we're running out of cars. In fact, you can look at the scoring tower there on the left side of your screen. You see all the drivers now that it says out, or drivers that are either in the pits, drivers that are a lap down. Remember, I mean, we started this race with, I believe it was 33. Yeah, because Ethan Eckert didn't make the start. Now it looks like we're down to 23 cars that are actually on the lead lap with a chance at it. So again, 10 cars. That's a lot when you think about the fact that everybody's got a fast repair. It's a lot of cars to be eliminated, and I'm sure a couple more still have some damage. But we're going to see if these guys can clean it up and finish it up right here. Green-white checkered attempt number 2. All right, so as they work their way off of turn number 4, Landon Veliky, Matthew Baker, we'll see. Looks like Matthew Baker chose the top here. So if that's the case, Landon Veliky not going to have the opportunity to jump up unless Harper is able to push that 62 car clear. Veliky's won in these next gens before over at PGR. See if he can do it again here tonight. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. 2 lap shootout attempt number 2 at Daytona. Good restart by Matthew Baker, but also Veliky does a nice job there of not getting caught sleeping. You have the 60 of Boston is blinking around a little bit, but now it's the inside that's going to get organized a whole lot quicker. They're about 4 cars pushing. The outside only 2, but they're going to get some more help. Here comes Chris Melton. Joshua McCullough is going to jump to the outside. Now they're going to fan out 3 wide here as everybody tries to fight for wiggle room. Looks like the 49 Melton slipping back. He'll find a spot just in front of Tyler Vickery. As they race down the super stretch, though, it is still all Matthew Baker out in front leading. Now the big move from Daniel Falkingham. He'll dive down to the bottom of the racetrack. Matthew Baker stuck up top right now with Joshua McCullough. And the 05 with some front-end damage. You wonder if that 05 considers pushing the rest of the way. Falkingham back up to the top, and here we go. We have done it. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Daytona, and the race is official. They'll have to race it back to the checkered now. Falkingham still out in front. Brian Headings out back trying to save it. He's going to go round. He'll collect Vickery and multiple others. He'll keep it clean up front, looking for a bit of a 7 to 8 car breakaway right here. I'll tell you what, Veliky and Harper, they're not done on the bottom, but they may just not quite have enough help. Matthew Baker, I think, is going to try to size this move up for off of turn number 4. Nobody going down yet. When will Baker make the move? The 5 car with a chance to go to victory lane. Will Falkingham block? Here goes Garrett. Baker's going to beat him down to the bottom. Falkingham not able to cover. Here we go off of turn 4. Baker's going to get clear. Does Garrett have one more move to make? He doesn't. Matthew Baker's going to complete the comeback. He wins it at Daytona. After being involved in multiple incidents, he brings home a damaged car in victory lane. How about that one for Matthew Baker? Your race winner here tonight, and that is going to help him both in the payout category, obviously, here tonight, and a great way to start the points playoff battle for Matthew Baker as well. And man, oh man, wasn't quite the move that I saw coming, but he timed it perfect. He waited till he saw the run out back, went for it. And Falkingham, a lot of respect there to Falkingham as well for not trying to do some sort of crazy block to the bottom that would have cleaned out the field. He realized that Baker beat him down to the bottom and was more than okay with staying up top. And look at that, still finishes in the money in that podium spot. Matthew Baker with that beautiful silver PGR light machine. He's got the prime sponsorship on the back deck lid along with the Wagoner's Welding. He's going to burn it down here across the Daytona logo. As he does so, we'll take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, your race winner, we'll pull this up. That was from heat number 2 a bit earlier. Your race winner is Matthew Baker. Garrett Maines finishes 2nd. Daniel Falkingham in 3rd. With Landon Velicki finishing back in 4th. Freddie Bosnez 5th. Nathan Harper in 6th. You've got Joshua McCullough 7th with Chris Blanchard finishing in the 8th spot here tonight. And rounding out the top 10 is John Ward and Chris Melton. Kyler Wynn finishes 11th. Cody Nagel's back in 12th with Dylan Jones 13th. Then you've got Matt Lee back in 14th. Nash Brambilla 15th. Mark Vondell in 16th with Jason Maines back in 17th. Then it's Brian Hennings finishing in the 18th spot here tonight. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be James Wagner and Sean Corbett. Hunter Hastings finishes 21st. Tyler Vickery 22nd. Chase Mastretta back in 23rd. It's going to be Jimmy Emos 24th. Dalton Steele 25th with Steve Sizemore 26th. David Sheets 27th with Larry McDonald back in 28th. Tyler Morgan in 29th. And Preston Alexander rounding out the top 30. Ken McCullough Jr. 32nd. Ambrose Knievel 33rd with Ethan Eckert in 34th. All right, before we go grab your top 3 for interviews, we got to go back and look at this finish one more time. I mean, this is, for a race that had as much chaos as it did, this was a pretty clean way to pass for the win and finish this race off, as Matthew Baker had to time up the move and when he was going to make it, and he did so all but to perfection. All right, here we go. So this is going into turn 3. Garrett Maines has a run out back, and he says, I'm ready to go, so he's going to take it to the inside here. Baker sees the run coming, and they stack up perfectly. Look at that. Right as Baker gets down, you've got 3 cars out back stacking up for a push. And there it is, Matthew Baker. Now, this is what I thought was going to be interesting right here, was I was wondering, would Garrett, would he think, would he try one more move here on Matthew Baker if he got the opportunity to? And the answer was no, he did not try it. He stayed very loyal right here. And looking at the TV view here, let's see. Garrett certainly could have made that move. In fact, actually, he does try right here at the end, but just not enough time. Baker takes it by about half a car length. All right, so as mentioned, we will go grab your top 3 for interviews. I know people like to head out, so just before you guys do, again, I do want to make sure I give another shout out and thank you to both Richard Elliott and J.R. Miller for the $10 super chats here tonight. All right, without any further ado, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us here at Daytona. All right, we're going to go ahead and kick things off here tonight with your race winner. It's Matthew Baker. Baker, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy.
Oh, what up, man?
Well, how about that? You get a win in a race that, I mean, I couldn't even tell you what was going to happen by the end of that thing. A bunch of cautions. You were in probably half of them. You had a damaged race car. How did you pull that one off?
The right front was pretty killed. But once we had that restart, the lead got wrecked out, and Harper was pushing me on the bottom. I knew I still had something. The wheel was straight, and I was able to keep it together. but I don't get the win unless I get the push from Garrett there. And the give and take between myself and Falkingham there on the last 2 laps, he pulled to the bottom with his teammate Landon. I knew I couldn't block it. I made a halfway block, pulled back up, and said, you know what, man, if I can side draft Landon, I'll be in the catbird seat. And that's exactly what happened. And as soon as Garrett pulled out a line, he was able to pull Josh back and get me a line. Freddie was able to push on the bottom, and oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah, it certainly was. That's got to feel like a pretty good one. And, you know, knowing that now, not only is it going to be the payouts that you're fighting for, but also the points payouts at the end of the season. How does it feel to start off this way?
I mean, starting off with 10 points to start the year is great. You know, we got 9 races. It was just a great run all around. A couple of mix-ups there in the middle of the race. I had to use my faster pair off of a wreck that didn't even seem like it was going to do anything to me, but it broke my right front. And but we were able to recover. And then Lee and I were lined up there on the top, and just unfortunate with Ward hooking Kyler there. He had a hell of a save. Just came down a little bit too low, still saving it, but. It was a ton of fun, and I'm glad I can get the PGR light scheme into victory lane after we just ran the next gen for 2 weeks, so it feels pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, a phenomenal job here tonight for yourself. And now, of course, you got those 10 points to go along with it. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, just thanks to Coasting Thunder, MBG Motorsports, Baker and Son Construction. Thanks people on the car, Hyper Shack. Thank you to those 2 organizations for sponsoring the PGR Light Series for the entirety of the. Sorry, taking a drink in my high noon there. For the entirety of the PGR Light Series, thanks to PGR eSports, Michael and I. You know, it's been a pretty rough week for us. A lot of controversy, but man, what a finish that we got there. Thanks for putting on the broadcast, Austin, and thanks to James for putting on the series, Wagoner, Welding, and just thanks to him and his dad. They really support the community. They've been here for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, Austin, and they've donated thousands of dollars to the community, and it's just a testament to the people that we are able to bring into this community, and hoping to grow some more. So if you're out there and you haven't raced in a PGR race or an R&R race, come out. We got the PGR 500 coming up at the end of the month. Got some signups rolling in, some big names: Michael Cozy, Dale Tanhart, Garrett Maines, Falkingham, the PGR 2024 champion. We just locked down a trophy. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Certainly is. And as always, Baker, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on the win, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. And I just realized I told him we'll see him next week. Well, it won't be me, but I'm sure we'll still see him on track at some point next week. Now that's going to go ahead and bring us up to your second place finisher. And that's Garrett Maines here. Let's see if we can see how he feels after that second place finish. Hey, Garrett, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you bring home second here tonight, and kind of similar to Baker, it was a chaotic night for everybody, including yourself. You had to work back to the front a few times after being in a couple different incidents, but there at the end, take us through that last lap. You get a big run coming into turn 3. What was going through your head? You push Baker. Were you hoping to make a different move? Did you wish you had a little bit more room to make another move?
I had enough room to make the move. I didn't want to take it from him. Honestly, he did such a good job on that move. That was so well executed. It couldn't have been done any better. I didn't want to take that from him. He had done a great job all night. I honestly had kind of scammed to be back up in that position. Like literally with 3 to go, I was 26th. So to be able to just be in the right place, right time, pretty much 3 straight restarts in a row, and avoid the chaos, get back to the front, and finish the race strong. Like, what more could you ask for? There's a little bit of a meltdown there with like 15 to go, and I was pretty upset about it. But to be able to get back in position and take home second, like a 1-2 for the boys, no complaints here.
Yeah, absolutely. Good finish for you here tonight. And I kind of want to bring you to a similar topic that we also asked your winner here tonight. We know now that we have this new points format. There's going to be a lot of money paid out after 9 races to the top 5 in points. How important is it to start this way, and does this change kind of the strategy or the way you approach the next 8 races in the series?
I mean, I didn't even realize this was a series until this race took a little bit longer than normal, so 2.5 hours ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to start strong. I mean, the idea is always to cash in these things, but with it only paying the top 10 in points. I think that's how the format is. It's, keep yourself in the race. You still have to kind of make bold moves when it only pays the top 10, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really change the way I race because I want to be finishing consistently in the top 5. So, to be able to recover like we did tonight and still be there, I mean, that's about all you can ask for.
Absolutely. And Garrett, before we let you head out here tonight to go celebrate the winnings, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Give a huge thank you to Scott at MCU Body, and thank you to Lennox. Also, shout out to Baker once again for the win, and also the phenomenal move there in the final corner. Honestly, that was probably one of the cleanest transitions from top to bottom. Like, we lined up perfectly and just shot out of a cannon out of 4. So, props to him for executing that, and thank you to Ryko Performance as well for all their support this season.
Garrett, as always, thank you for talking to us. Congrats on the second place finish, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, now that's going to bring us up to your final podium finisher here of the night, and that's Daniel Falkingham. Daniel, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, you bring home third place here tonight, and man, that last lap, if you could redo it again, would you have done anything different?
It's hard to say. It's hard to tell. Maybe I could have stayed behind Baker and try to get the outside line to move and hope the bottom would die and then make my move into 3 on the last lap instead of with 2 to go. But I just really want to control the race because I feel like I'm pretty good at like trying to be defensive at the front, trying to block. But Baker, he had my number in 3 and 4 on that last lap, especially with Garrett having a heck of a run coming behind him. I thought about covering the inside. Like, if I could go back, maybe cover the inside of turn 3 with the run Garrett had, but then I'd give up my right rear, which would slow me down even more. But no, there wasn't much I could have done, especially with this car where it's just the runs are so huge. It's so hard to block him anyway. So, but nah. Definitely, maybe going to play that a little bit different. Maybe just try to stay in line, come to the white, then make my move on the last lap, be in second. But can't complain about it after we got wrecked halfway through the race, and we still came out with some good points and a good payout. So we'll still take it. We'll still take a podium.
Yeah, and even with the incident, I would say overall out of the top 3, you probably had the calmest of the top 3 in terms of race-wise. But a lot of chaos here tonight, so before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
I just gotta thank Wagoner for putting this on. I think this 9-week championship should be exciting with all the points and stuff. So thanks to him for putting all the stuff on. Thanks to everyone who raced tonight. I know tonight was a very messy one. Definitely one of the ugliest ones we've had in a while. But hopefully we can get that cleaned up for next week. But shout out to everyone who comes out races to make this stuff possible. Shout out to the admins. Thank you for broadcasting. And thanks to everyone for watching.
Daniel, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on the third place finish. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. And also, I forgot to shout out all the Nightmare Boys. Shout out Landon, Cody, Chase, all those guys for working well tonight. Glad Landon was able to get up there, and I hate Cody and Chase had bad nights. But shout out to those guys as always.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is just about going to wrap up the coverage here tonight. And I'll tell you what, it was a long night, no doubt about it. But in the end, you still get to see a pretty cool way to win it. Matthew Baker with damage, and you saw Garrett Main say that the move was so perfect, I felt like he deserved it. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here from Daytona, the first of 9 races to determine who is going to be taking home a bunch of money at the end of the season. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate you all sticking around. Again, I won't be here next Wednesday, but it will hopefully be somebody from the PGR eSports broadcast team. So look forward to then, and look forward to what these guys are going to do for the rest of the season. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next time, have a good night.